intro videos are going to be fucking cool. Have you watched it yet?
I watched it. I love it. I love.
Isn't it like the great? I was looking and
Yeah.
I'm like, I saw comic stuff like, oh, this is okay. This is okay. Then I saw that. I'm like, that's perfect.
So yeah, I was thinking about. I mean, that would be great. I still need to like look at this software, StreamYard's like interface, and see how to play a video. Because hopefully you don't like just like load it up on YouTube on another screen and just hit play.
I don't think so. I think you can, because if you got the not the free version of StreamYard, which I think you said you paid for.
Yeah. That's
I
why I
think
guess
it lets you add like an actual like intro video and shit too. So
yeah, that's why I get to have this fun little background here.
no, and then music too. The license for that music is like, I think it's like $20-some. And I'm like, that's fucking worth it. That music's great.
Yeah, that's honestly kind of perfect.
Right.
So hello and welcome to Frankenstein House. The YouTube live cast where we pretend to talk about comics, but mostly just bullshit.
And then get taken down by Trent Reznor.
Trent Reznor destroyed our last stream. So for anybody who watched the last stream, it went dead, and I finally got it back up. Like YouTube restored it, but the point where it went dead is where I was complaining about 9 Inch Nails' guitar tones, and just suddenly, boom, it's gone.
You're like early 9 Inch Nails guitar tones, so Danny Lohner was like, "Fuck this, dude."
Yeah.
It's like, nah, we're not doing this today.
Yeah. I don't know. Did Richard Patrick ever play? Was that guy's name?
Richard? Yeah, he was the bassist for like up until the Downward Spiral, and that's apparently what Piggy was written about, was him leaving the band and stuff. I mean, Filter's not a bad band. I really like the first few albums; were really fucking solid. So
yeah, I like the last one. It was very, it's very different to all the stuff they've been doing before. God, what was it called?
I didn't listen to it. I haven't listened to too much, unfortunately. Too much after like the first few albums. Like I've heard snippets of songs. I like their cover of "Happy Together" was really good. Like he pulled that off pretty well. So.
Yeah. I like they did "One Is the Loneliest Number" on the X-Files movie soundtrack.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. He has a fantastic voice.
He does. It's fucking great. Definitely a better singer than Trent.
Yeah, as much as I love Trent as a producer and really like him as a songwriter, his voice just never worked for me.
No, it works for what he's doing, but like everything else, like even when he did the for like Queens of the Stone Age, like Clockwork album, he did vocals on Collapsia, and as soon as you hear the chorus coming, I'm like, that's Trent. Like you just know, you're like, nope, that's Trent. That's it right there. Like he's singing in the Queens of the Stone Age key, but it's Trent.
Is that the thing from that Sound City documentary?
No, it was a Queens of the Stone Age's not newest album, but the one before that they released, like the one that took like 8 years to release. Like Clockwork was a phenomenal album. If you haven't listened to it, you should. It's fucking great. It's probably the most
when they had Elton John on, right?
Yeah, they had like everybody on it. Elton John was on it, which is great.
Yeah.
You basically just got a bunch of people, and I don't know. It's my favorite, probably my favorite Queens record, besides like Rated R. But it's like the most personal Queens record. So you hear a lot of like personal emotion and stuff he's writing about. Like he almost died writing that album because he was sick and stuff.
Oh wow, that's
yeah. Like the part of the song on what was it? Is it My God? No, I Appear Missing. There's supposed to be like this pause between like the break and the solo, and that's supposed to be the amount of time he actually died for, or some shit like that. He put a lot of thought into writing the album.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah. And then it sucks to hear that him and Brody are divorcing. So
I had not heard that. That sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a little. I'm just gonna Facebook and retweet the fact that we are live right now. But so you just recently moved.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. How's that going in our current?
The event during the
Yeah,
event.
I think they've stopped demonetizing and like banning videos that talk about it. So I guess that's okay.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah. So yeah, how's moving during that whole thing? Was it
Sucked.
yeah.
Oh, it sucked. On the way up, like moving was a pain in the ass. We had a bunch of stuff happen prior to moving, so we had a lot of stuff to take care of. And then the day of moving, there's a fucking dust storm outside of Britsville in Washington,
Oh
and a
God.
semi just plowed through a fuck ton of vehicles. So we're there for like an hour while all the police and they're airlifting people out, and you're driving through this like dust storm of like vehicles just on either side of the freeway, just trash, totaled, and everything. And it was a really surreal, almost like post-apocalyptic feeling. You're like, what the fuck? And so that was fun. And then getting into Seattle was fine. We got here, we made it fine. The apartment, it was kind of it was a different floor plan than I thought it was going to be, which I was like, but it's not bad. I don't know. We like the area and stuff. It's pretty weird getting used to Seattle and nobody. Yeah. But I mean, I'm saying like, well, nobody really goes out, but it's really not true because every time we had to go shopping for food or stuff we need for the place because we just moved, like there's always a fucking ton of people out. But you know, for Seattle, there's not a lot of people out.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting looking outside lately because for 3 weeks there's been nobody outside, like nobody at all. And then just at the moment that I don't know if it's just like people have gotten so used to everything that they're going outside. I saw a whole bunch of people like hugging each other on the side of the street earlier today, and I'm like, no, what are you doing?
What are you doing, you assholes?
And like, yeah. We just got face masks, so I feel a little bit more comfortable going to the grocery store.
Nice. I need to. We have some that a friend made us. We have cloth ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got those. So that's been nice going out. And then Courtney's working on some right now. So
really cool.
Face masks are nice, but it surprises me the amount of fucking stupidity it is. Like, our country is not dealing with this well, and it is terrifying. We are the worst country at dealing with this, and it is going to get so much worse. And I'm just like, man, how long are we going to keep like allowing this to happen? Like, the people are just going to think, go, I guess we'll try and reopen the economy when it's all fucked up. But let's see how that happens. And then having people being like, well, you know, think of it, it's only like 3% of people that will probably die from it, but like, you know, the whole, like, you know, they're trying to like mental gymnastics they're trying to go through to be like justify opening parts of the economy and shit up. I'm just like, wow, how about we do it where nobody fucking dies? You know, let's why are we even having a conversation? It's like, oh well, you know, let's just sacrifice people to, you know, fucking nothing. So
yeah. One of my big worries during this whole thing, I mean, aside from the actual, you know, the actual ravages of what is happening, is I'm genuinely concerned now that we're gonna like misbehave so much that they actually have to like pass, or they feel like they have to pass laws to give like governors actual like full, rather than like stay-at-home orders, like actual force people in place, powers. And then, you know, when the whole thing is over, they're just like, I will keep those powers.
That's probably going to happen. Well, I mean, like California is trying to secede as a, you know, its own state. No, is it nation state? And I think we're in a pact with them in Oregon, I guess, for us to like work together and make sure, you know, shit's going down. But it's just our government's not dealing with this the right way. Nobody seems to be dealing with this the right way. And so I'm pretty sure with how bad we're lagging behind like every other country with like deaths and cases, I'm positive some sort of like lockdown is going to happen, and then we're going to have like a heavy military state going on, and then it's just going to devolve just from there, just from, they're going to normalize, oh, hey, you got to have like military in the streets, then more and more things are going to normalize. And then it's going to be like, a post-apocalyptic world that we all said we wanted that we really, really didn't.
Well, that's sort of the thing. We all got like romantically attached to these ideas. Like I had this thing where I realized a couple of years ago we were actually like living in the cyberpunk future. It's just 10,000 times more boring than William Gibson could have ever imagined. Yeah. Because like we're all supposed to be like wearing silver trench coats and like sword fighting in airports while like our watches broadcast like giant holographic talking heads, and instead it's just like, no, we can just like a 16-year-old in Belarus can upend an entire election.
Well, you can always sword fight in airports if you're not a fucking coward about it. So, I mean, you still have the option. That path is still there for you. If you want to put on the silver trench coat and just go ham in an airport with the sword you bought at the mall, go for it.
You want to make sure you're really good with those swords, because TSA is not coming with swords.
No, you better make sure it's a real sword and not just, tempered glass or something. The moment you hit something and it shatters, like, well, fuck. Get me out, Morpheus. No.
Well, one of the reasons that I wanted to bring up cyberpunk is today we're going to be talking about the Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, Klaus Jansen, and Lynn Varley. And my first question is, after reading this, is this a cyberpunk? Was this like a secret cyberpunk story? Because like,
it feels like it. It really does. It feels like a cyberpunk story in like the 80s. Just everything about it, just the way the mutants are. It's just how everything's basically so dystopian, where they're just like, I was touching up on a lot of it today. And I'm like reading through it. I'm like, wow. Just like the news is just so like, just like, well, you do what they say, the mutants, they're begging with the mutants not to fucking like, it's just so, it's 100% cyberpunk.
And how much of the narrative of the book was like driven by media and like these like newscaster talking heads that I think I mentioned it in the last cast when we were talking about it, but there's another YouTube channel I really like called Cartoonist Kayfabe, and they go over like comic runs from because they're both comic book artists and writers, from like that creative standpoint and less from a fan standpoint. But one of them pointed out that the talking head news thing, where there's one talking head and there's another box of the talking heads, like things like that, those didn't exist when this was like written and published. Like that was a very like late 90s creation, or mid to late 90s, because even like CNN was founded in 1980. Just looking it up here. So CNN was founded in 1980, but their whole output is still very like the same as you would get on the 10 o'clock news. It didn't have those like, I'm the newscaster and I have these two experts and like these two kooks and we all cut back to each other. Or like, I don't know if you ever watched 30 Rock, but they have...
yes.
Do you remember sports shouting?
Yes.
Like those Sports Center type thing. Well, like that format didn't really exist when this was written, which makes it a really interesting thing, that he sort of predicted the fact that news would basically become like infotainment, which is really friggin' interesting if you think about it. Like it takes a level of cynicism that most people don't have in order to be like that prescient about the way that our society has gone.
Our society sucks. We're basically at that point though.
Well, it's a thing, like
just even with our current government, it's basically like something you would have read out of here, just with the outlandish shit that's said in the news and stuff. It was like, that's funny, this is a comic. Oh, here's real life. Oh shit, it's happening here too.
Yeah, it's very much like, oh, that'd never happen 5 years later. It happened.
5 minutes later, let's check the tweets, you know? There it is.
Yeah, that whole thing, like, it's been really interesting because apparently, like, despite the fact everyone's stuck at home right now, ratings for most television shows are tanking. And people's theory about it right now is that everyone's tuning into the 24-hour news network of their choice, whether it be CNN, MSNBC, Fox, what have you. And it's like people are just watching the news and they're not watching TV shows.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I don't watch the news nearly as much as I should, and I definitely wouldn't be on a 24 hours news channel.
Yeah.
That seems like a waste of time and worrying. So
yeah, it's God, it's just one of those things that you're just like, yeah, we really have to. You actually have to like monitor your consumption of that, because while I'm not gonna like I don't buy into as much of the fake news thing that people like to complain about, or fake news, alternate facts, whatever side of it. I do believe quite wholeheartedly that everything is reported in a certain way in order to keep you on the channel and or to keep you hitting refresh on the page. And it's very like,
I mean, it is what it is. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
That's what it was called up until this whole like new thing of like fake news, alternative facts and stuff. I mean, just call it for what it is. It's just propaganda. And that's just, every news outlet has been doing that for, I don't even know how long. So it's really hard just to find something that's just truly unbiased, where you can just get a straight, this is what's happening, versus here's what I think is happening, or here's like my musings on this, but they're completely off base and actually have nothing to do with this topic, Yeah. It's just, you got to dig through so much of that shit, and I guess you got to take what you can at face value and just fucking ignore the rest. Don't ignore the part about not staying at home, though.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm worried about. I don't know. I'm worried about that, and the fact that there's no formal plan or informal plan to actually get people out of their current situation. People are going to start getting real reckless because they're going to be like, well, if I'm going to be in jail, why don't I just actually go to jail?
Yeah, that's going to suck.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to happier things. Let's actually talk about this freaking topic. This delightful, happy-go-lucky comical book that
Happy romp with an elderly gentleman, a 13-year-old child, and all the adventures that ensue from that.
Yeah, and if you see anything popping up, I do have to say that we are currently dealing with a mag cast. I got the magpie in action here. Hopefully, me flashing down to her occasionally will boost our ratings a little bit. It certainly helps my Instagram posts.
It might. I don't know. I'm waiting for one of our cats, our Maine Coon mix, to like wake up and just start screaming. We got him like this big old cactus like bed from like PetSmart the other day, and he loves it now, but he likes to randomly just like he'll sleep all fucking day. He'll just sleep. And then he'll randomly wake up and start screaming. I think it's because he realizes he has food still. So he'll get up and scream for like 5 minutes and then run to his food and eat it. And then scream some more and then go back to bed. So he'll probably start screaming soon.
Yeah, we have the problem with Mag where she has so she eats like a third of a can of Fancy Feasts twice a day. So like we have to re-refrigerate the cans of Fancy Feast so they don't go bad. But she hates the refrigerated feast. So she just like she knows we put it out there, but her brain, I guess, doesn't recognize it as being food while it's still cold. So we just have to like wait for it to warm up before she'll like, oh, this is my dinner. Okay. So yeah, put out food. She'll look at it, sniff it, maybe try to bury it, and then walk away from it until it's warm.
What the fuck are you trying to feed me? How dare you preserve my food like that?
So The Dark Knight Returns. It was sort of created by Frank Miller. drawn and written. It was inked by Klaus Jansen, who I believe had worked with Frank Miller on his pretty legendary Daredevil run. Have you ever read any of his Daredevil stuff?
Oh, I don't think so. I'm gonna have to though.
It's basically
hold on.
what the first 2 seasons of the Netflix show were based off of.
Okay.
So yeah, he invented. He created and he introduced Elektra.
Okay.
And I don't know if he created Bullseye, but he definitely turned Bullseye into what he's best known as being this like cold-blooded killer, with a I can use anything as a weapon gimmick. So they'd worked together on that, and I guess when Miller moved over to DC to do some Batman work, he needed an inker. He didn't want to ink himself. He wouldn't start doing that until he did Sin City. And he called in his old buddy Klaus Jansen in order to help him. And the third person who is listed as creator is Lynn Varley, who is, let me pull her up here. But Lynn Varley is the colorist where it's so basically handled all the colors. And if you look at it, at the actual book itself, it's pretty obvious. Mm-hmm. Lynn is using paint, like. That is not, they definitely didn't have Photoshop back then. I think all of it, I think there was D-Paint. D-Paint was like the only image editing software at the time, I think. And that may have even been later than this, because this was 80, God, what was this? 86.
Yeah.
86. So D-Paint
was a couple of years before The Killing Joke. So.
Yeah. So this sort of kicked me. I think I said it with The Killing Joke. This is another one of those things that kickstarted grim and gritty 80s, which turned into extreme 90s.
Yeah,
comics, which I'm kind of going back, and some of it was kind of dire. But then I'll go back. Like I read the first omnibus of The Darkness a few months back.
Ooh.
And The Darkness, honestly. Probably works better now than it did back then, because back then it was kind of in the middle of like everything's extreme, everything looks like all the superheroes have armor that look like some sort of alien insect. The skirts are tight, the abs are tighter, the muscles are rippling. Whereas like I go back and look at it and read it now, like the first arc is written by Garth Ennis. It has this amazing Mark Silvestri art. Mark Silvestri is one of the Image founders, and he has a really like scratchy style. So it's a thing you don't see a lot of. The Darkness is really great. But yeah, that sort of all came about because of books like this, kind of taking the idea of these old superheroes and putting them into new light, or like, in a case like this, old man Batman gets back on the saddle. So I made notes for the first 2 issues, and I think we can just like wing the second 2, because
the second would be pretty easy to wing.
Yeah. So yeah, the first issue starts off pretty interestingly, in which it's actually let me close out all these notifications. He starts off with Bruce Wayne. He is racing, like he's in, I don't know if it was NASCAR thing back then, or is he doing more of a Formula One type situation?
Probably a Formula One kind of a thing. I'm trying to remember what that was. I think I remember watching the animated movie like years ago, and it was fucking great. But I believe it was a Formula One kind of a thing. From what I remember from that, it seems a little more classier for billionaires to do.
Yeah. So yeah, he is racing cars, and he is clearly, because he's no longer Batman. There is a big Batman-shaped hole in his life. Yeah, I'm looking at it, and he's actually So this is the thing. Like, I'm just going to hold it up here, and hopefully we don't get taken down. But there are actually, we will. It was like, that's probably what got us taken down last time.
Stop showing comics on the comic podcast.
There's actually no actual cars on this, so yeah, I would assume maybe it is a Formula One type situation. But there's No cars. I guess this was one of the periods of time when Frank Miller was pretty bad at drawing cars. He's talked about that in interviews about Sin City. Is like he wrote so many he wrote so many driving scenes into Sin City because he was terrible at drawing cars and he wanted to get better at it.
You can draw horses though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sort of.
the whole climax of that fourth issue. Batman on a fucking horse. I'm like, all right, I remember that shit.
But yeah, so Bruce Wayne, he's retired. He's getting a little, he's getting a little up there in years. He's grown a fancy mustache. He kind of looks like Stacy Keach. He's pretty much done with being Batman.
It was a hell of a stash too, man. That was a great stash.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunately the first casualty of this book. Is Bruce Wayne's mustache.
It isn't even like he just like wakes up and it's just not there. So it's kind of sucks. I really wish there was more of a backstory on the mustache.
It has its own. It has its own
like run.
Superhero moniker. It's a
the Bat Stash.
Yeah,
that'd be great. I'd pay to see like a little 4-issue run just about his stash, the history of how it came to be, what happened that fateful night. Written by Frank Miller.
The Bat Stash strikes again.
It'll get super political, super quick.
We'll get to Frank Miller in politics pretty soon because that's an interesting story. He has done some flip-de-doos and some loop-de-loops on his political affiliations, but we'll get to that. So yeah, we then cut to a still very much alive Bruce, who did not die in his automobile crash, having drinks with Commissioner Gordon, who is retiring. And it is revealed in this conversation, at least in this continuity, that Commissioner Gordon knows that Bruce Wayne was Batman, and they have their little jokes about it. As he's leaving, Bruce is almost mugged by the Mutants gang. Now, the Mutants gang is sort of your quintessential bad guys from the 80s. They all wear the 80s gang member sunglasses. If you notice that, but was it Bebop or Rocksteady who had those?
I think it was Rocksteady had it. I think I always get them confused. Hold on, I gotta look it up. I'm pretty sure it was Rocksteady that had it. I gotta type fast. Where's it at? No, I don't want the Whisperers. I want the Ninja Turtles. Now it's Bebop because Bebop's the pig.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, those. Yeah, he has them. God, who else? I was just thinking of. It's kind of like one of those. He has them, and then some of the gang members from Class of Nukem High, and I think one of the villains from Death Wish was wearing something similar. One of the Death Wishes, just it's I'm a bad guy in the 80s. These are my sunglasses.
I'm pretty sure one of the Asian gang members from Big Trouble in Little China had them too. So
that makes sense. Yeah, it is just of that era. It's just your. I don't know if human beings actually had those sunglasses. I think they might have just been owned by movie characters.
So we need to find these sunglasses and order them, and we roll the streets.
Clearly do. I never ended up ordering my American flag aviators, so this will be.
Why the fuck not? How are you not able to show that you're an American patriot?
I didn't want to listen to that much Bachman Turner Overdrive.
But you have to. That's the requirement. Their entire discography plus their B-sides and live albums. And then once you manage that, you get into Steely Dan.
Yeah,
that's it.
Steely Dan, I will stand Steely Dan. Steely Dan is honestly better musically, and it has some better songs than people ever give them credit for. I think they're one of those bands I think gets more crap than they deserve as far as
probably
they're seen as being corny. I see why they're seen as being corny, but they're also they're kind of good now.
Really into cocaine. But I mean, if you're a band from back then, who wasn't?
Yeah, I'm gonna hits. I'm going to display. So I figured out I can display comments on the screen as we chat. So as I get them, if they're as long as they're not crappy ones or well, as long as they're not unnecessarily hate-filled about us or for
Have we got
example.
any of those yet? I don't think we have.
No, not yet. But so
It'll
yeah.
happen. It'll happen.
Here's a good one. Avery Willman asks, "How's Seattle?"
It's great. Oh, look, you can. There he is, right
Yeah.
there on the screen. Wow. It almost looks like one of those things like you're interviewing someone. There's their name and profession underneath.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how they did that, though. It's a little misleading.
Yeah.
Let's see. Avery's one of my good friends. He's my tattoo artist.
Oh, cool.
Done my sleeves, doing a lot more work on me and stuff. Owns Undead Ink, phenomenal tattoo shop over in Spokane. Everybody should go there and get tattooed. All right, Avery, our deal's done. I plugged your shop. Just leave me alone, man. Give me back my kids.
Yeah, I'd be curious how you're holding up with the whole current situation because I have a friend who's a tattoo artist as well, and he was doing fine because he was like, you know what, I'm gonna wear a face mask. I'm gonna I've already wiped down everything for hygiene purposes. I think I am currently in the best environment you could be in, but then the stay-at-home order just like shut him right down.
Yeah. Even so, I think it would have been still pretty irresponsible to keep going, no matter how sterile it is. You're not going to stop somebody. It's not sterile enough for someone to cough all over you. Nobody needs to deal with that, whether they have something or not.
Yeah.
I know Avery shop did I think him and his wife put on something where they had a lot of tattoo artists over in the local area over there, put up a bunch of artwork for a First Friday thing, and people bidded on it. And I think it went pretty well from what I saw, but it's cool seeing a lot of artists that are out of work like that because of this could still, find ways to put their artwork out there, make money and kind of help things float a little bit until, hopefully the event passes.
And Abigail Nefer-Lamore says, "Peen."
There you go. There it is.
All right, moving on from that. So the mutants are an interesting creation.
What if we could show a picture of the mutants? Let's see how far we could push this so we can really see so we can really pin down when we get shut down. Put up a picture of the mutant and this is kind of what they look like.
Yeah. Let me see. They're a basically it's really interesting. They have a very weird speech.
Slice and dice.
Yeah, so the whole slice and dice, calling each other spud. So I was trying to figure out if is spud just a term of endearment, or is it because everybody's either bald or has their head shaved, they're making a potato reference?
Maybe, I don't know. I only saw spud start getting referenced in once Robin was kind of infiltrating them and she started throwing spud around.
Yeah, I think
that's kind of what Don and Rob. Yeah, Don and Rob. They're great.
Hi, my name is Don. Hi, my name is Robin.
You didn't get those shirts. Those were the best. I mean, fuck, with a group of fucking henchmen with an army like that, it's a good way to set yourself apart.
Yeah.
Don and Rob.
And so, yeah, they go to mug Bruce, but because he seems into it, they decide to back off because attacking and killing people who don't seem to have any problem with going to their grave is not very exciting for them. So they go to the arcade, which is, unfortunately, the grim meat hook future we currently live in doesn't have any of those.
Yeah, we really need an arcade. We really need a gang of mutants around here.
Yeah,
really just spice Seattle up a little bit.
Yeah, when the closest you get is the fucking Proud Boys, you're in a bad state of affairs.
Yeah, Frank Miller didn't predict that.
No.
So idiots fucking protesting with all their guns and shit in Michigan. What exactly are you protesting? We want to go back to work. But why? Well, we just want to work. But why?
Yeah.
You guys are getting your stimulus check and stuff. Rent's being suspended, but why?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's they're fucking stupid.
So yeah, this scene introduces a thing which which comes back pretty soon, throughout the comic, but is part of the big ending of it, which is Bruce is having heart problems. He's collapsing, clutching his chest. That's what makes his return to being Batman. I don't know if the title is a spoiler for anybody. Kind of a bad choice on his part if he wanted to live a long life, but I think it becomes one of those things where, like, well, I can die of a heart attack in 10 years, or I can die of a heart attack in 6 months, but be Batman. And he really misses being Batman.
Which apparently, spoiler alert, everybody has a fucking problem with. So,
Yeah.
like, everybody has a problem with Batman coming back. You know, man, shit's gone to hell. We got mutants everywhere. Like, the world just sucks. Man, let's just really shit on this dude that, 10 years ago used to, like, save our lives and keep the streets safe. Because why not? It's fun. Because Reagan said so.
God, the Ronald Reagan stuff, like,
I love it. Like, he fucking
Frank Miller
so much.
hates Ronald Reagan so
much, and it's so great. All the Reagan stuff in it is just, it's so fucking fun to go through and just watch. Just the way he drew him is just, it gets more outrageous the further you go into the comic. He just looks just like a caricature of just Reagan at pretty much his last. It's like, that's just what he looks like at that point. It's I love it.
So we now cut to, I believe, Arkham Asylum, where Harvey Dent is cured by his doctors. So his plastic surgeon, I mean, if the plastic surgeon does his job, probably does his job better than any plastic surgeon ever has, in which he rebuilds Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face's face, to be kind of perfect. The psychologist in this is, I think it's the same character that is also sort of responsible for the Joker's reform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much this is very much like a product of its era, which is like the celebrity, psychotherapists kind of person who'll show up on talk shows. Like, it is very much like, it's a character that is rooted in the mid 80s very, very deeply, because it's kind of one of those heavy, like, you can get a self-help book for any problem kind of people. And then there are people always going to show up on, either The Tonight Show or Sally Jesse Raphael, or like, one of these like daytime or nighttime talk shows. Yeah. And it's definitely one of those, this is the 80s, and this is like a commentary on society, media society in the 80s, things pretty heavily, which, I think there's a great deal of that still today. There's very much, it's now shrouded in a lot of like goop shit and like woo woo type, like spiritualism, but it's still kind of the same thing as the pop psychology thing. I'm thinking of Stuart from SNL, if you remember like 80s SNL with Frank and with like Stuart, like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me.
Remember, my parents had that book somewhere, and it's such a great fucking book. Stuart Smiley.
Yeah.
I found those 80s slim visor sunglasses, by the way, and
I just saw them in the private chat. Yeah.
And the second link I sent is so much. They're kind of better looking. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to get some of these and just start. We need to buy a shit ton of these and start handing them out to, like, street thugs and stuff. Like, no, you guys are doing it wrong. Here's your leather jacket. Here's your visor. Here's
you really need to step your style up if you want to be.
Like, come on, dude. And in about 3 years, you're gonna paint Batman on your face, and then you're just gonna change tunes real fast.
So I'm gonna just go through some comments. Odin97 says Avery promoted the auction, which was awesome. So
it's Tommy. What's up, dude?
Oh, cool. Hey, Tommy.
Yeah.
And he had a sweet piece of art.
Hell yeah.
And Abigail says, Reaganomics galaxy brain material. Yeah, honestly.
Reaganomics.
Ronald, yeah, Reaganomics has been, it's, God. It's kind of this, like, the whole, like, trickle-down economics has been kind of a bane in this, a thorn in the side of just people's lives since this happened. I don't know. It's just one of those things that we take for granted that people think is stupid, but you realize that almost half the country still believes in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, speaking of rich people, Bruce is having nightmares.
Wow, it's hard having good sleep, being a fucking billionaire.
Yeah. I mean, that sleeping on a bed full of money is not the most comfortable situation. So he goes wandering around the mansion. He wanders into the cave. Alfred ends up going after him. And Alfred apparently at this point... Sorry, I'm being attacked by my cat right now.
At this point, we got to hit an F in chat because at this point, the mustache is the first casualty. And
Alfred...
There's no explanation, no how, why, when. We didn't even get just a little blip of just sleep shaving or the battle that ensued between him and his mustache, his razor and stuff, which I think was amazing. But for, probably time constraints, Frank Miller cut it out. And all we got was him standing there semi-naked with no mustache. It was sad day in comic history.
Like, I think if there's like two people who are really badly done over by this story, like, should have had a better go of things, it would be Selena Kyle, Catwoman.
Oh yeah, they did her dirty in that.
Yeah, and the other one is Bruce's
really dirty. Yeah, Bruce's mustache, Selena Kyle, she was done so dirty in this, just like like a Barbara Gordon was in Killing Joke.
Yeah, they
just bad, actually.
Women in comics, unfortunately.
Yeah, they weren't as nice with the ladies in comics. At least the supporting characters for quite a while. So
yeah. So I estimate probably at this point in the timeline, with Bruce being the age that he is, and getting towards potentially pushing towards the end of his life. At this point, Alfred has got to be 8,000 years old.
Yeah, Alfred is just still fucking there, just hanging the fuck out.
He looks the same. He just has a cane now. That's it.
The way he's drawn, he looks so much like Mr. Gone from Max. He does, like in the shadow. When you first see him, he looks almost identical to Mr. Gone, just the shape of his head, the tufts of hair. I was like, oh shit, it's a crossover that we didn't expect. That's what he did. That's how he repented. He became Batman's butler. But yeah, like Alfred, it's like Batman's like fucking 60 or something in this. He's old as fuck at this part, and just Alfred is approaching Yoda years at this point. He's gonna be on his deathbed going, there's another, and they think they're talking about another Wayne, but it's just another fucking Alfred just somewhere out there in the wings waiting.
Yeah, well, when one dies, another emerges from the corpse.
Jeremy Irons is in the wings waiting to come in. Like, I'll have redemption soon. Man, imagine taking a great actor like Jeremy Irons and giving him that shitty fucking Batman vs Superman script. And just, I remember the pieces I watched, I could just tell in Jeremy Irons' face that he's probably getting paid enough to do it, but he's not going to enjoy it. Like, there was no joy in his face whatsoever the entire fucking film.
Yeah, unfortunately. And he's now been replaced. I can't remember who they hired to replace him, but the entire cast for the Batman side of things of the DC extended or cinematic universe, they recast everybody. Like, they ditched J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, who had 13 seconds on screen in a JLA movie, and
but it's okay. We got him back in Spider-Man, though.
That was
the best ending to any superhero movie I've ever seen in my life. Is the ending to Away from Home or whatever it was. Fucking J.K. Simmons, fucking ending. just at the ending, and I'm just like, yes. That's
Yeah.
pretty much an InfoWars style fucking reporter. I'm just like, yes. That dude is great. But yeah, no, they just shit canned that entire cast, and hopefully it's better. I don't know. I thought Affleck would have been a good Bruce Wayne had they give him a better script.
Yeah.
I think the entire cast could have been better, except for whoever the fuck played Lex Luthor. That dude had no business being anywhere near that movie.
Yeah, sadly, they had so they hired for the first Superman movie. They hired Christopher Maloney, who's Stabler in Law and Order, as like a general or like a army sergeant or something. And I always thought he would make a great Lex Luthor because like my impression of Lex Luthor has always been like this like brash, headstrong, like guy who's in like pretty good shape, could probably like be really good in a fight, but also like he's just like so filthily obsessed with this idea of like just this inferiority complex. Like they always hire for Lex Luthor these sort of like people who play him a lot in more of a prissy manner. Like even like Gene Hackman, they played him as more of like a used car salesman when they had
Yeah, and he was a really smart fucking dude. And I don't think they've ever casted anyone that's really captured. I mean, I didn't watch Smallville, but I heard whoever they got to play him was really good, though.
Yeah, he was very good.
Smallville, I haven't, but I'm not a big Superman fan though, so was never on my list of. It was never on my list of like, oh, I should watch this. I just don't like Superman much, but he has some cool villains, but he doesn't have plot armor. So.
Yeah. Next episode of this, I want us to do All-Star Superman because I feel like if anything, if anything to change your mind about Superman, it would be that book. It was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'll give it a read and check it out. Yeah, it just sucks because DC, like I'll always say, DC has like the best animated movies for superheroes. They're always they're amazing, they're great. But their live action movies are so fucking terrible, and I don't know why they just can't. I don't know who in the creative line or the chain of command that's just like, this great idea you have, fuck that. Let's cast Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. Let's like do stupid shit, and just make the movie a million times worse. Let's do Suicide Squad, but just make it not a good movie, Yeah. And I just wish they would have pretty much, they could just get the team that did the animated Batman series just to make a live action movie. Put Kevin Conroy in a Batman suit. Nobody would complain. Nobody would give a shit. Nobody would be like, Kevin Conroy doesn't really look like Batman. Like, fuck, that's fucking Batman. Nobody would complain at all. Mark Hamill could be the Joker. Nobody would fucking complain because it's Mark fucking Hamill. Just as old and maybe not as Joker like it looks. He probably looks more like the old like 60s Joker, But yeah. Like they could do that and it would be the better than any fucking Batman movie they've put out. And fucking I think everybody would love it.
Have you seen any of the CW shows?
God, wasn't there one I tried watching? I don't think so. Actually, I watched some of the I've watched like the Doom Patrol, the Titans a little bit.
Oh yeah.
The Doom Patrol was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
Doom Patrol was fucking amazing. I liked that. And that's the thing, is they can do stuff like that that's really good, but like they just can't make a good fucking movie or a movie. The movie's either okay or they're shit. There's no movie I've been like, wow, this is amazing. Like maybe some of the Nolan Batmans. I mean, the one with the Joker was good. I mean, the one after I was hoping would be good, and it was. I know, right? Like, here's what Bane has been like since his creation. Let's make him sound like a fucking owl and give him a respiratory problem.
So the reason I brought it up is that kind of both the things you were just talking about have happened in that. They had so they didn't have Mark Hamill playing the Joker, but they've had him well, hold on. He so back in the 1990s, there was a very short-lived Flash TV show. where he played the Trickster, which was like a Flash villain. So they brought the Trickster back in the Flash, and because one of the things that happens in the CW shows is they have the multiple universes.
Oh no, I saw Arrow for the first few seasons. I remember that being pretty good. I don't remember why I stopped watching. Okay, so I do remember some of those. I started watching some of the Flash.
Yeah, so in the Flash, in one of the seasons, they go over to, I believe, Earth 3, where there is a version of the Trickster played by Mark Hamill, who is effectively just the Joker.
I heard that. Yeah.
And in one of the most recent crossovers, they had basically an adaptation of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they had like the superhero team from the Arrowverse jumping around to different alternate Earths to try to find people, basically like people who are I think they were called like constants or something in the scheme of the universe, but they were just effectively like the paragons. And so like the paragon of strength, the paragon of wisdom, things like that. And one of the ones they were trying to get was an alternate version of Batman to be the paragon of, I think it was justice. And they show up and they have like Batwoman played by Ruby Rose show up at Wayne Manor and goes in, and then they have they have the Batman Beyond version of Batman with like the suit that holds his body together.
That's what
played by Kevin Conroy.
What?
For real.
I didn't look that up. Hold on.
It's on YouTube. If they're just his scenes. If you watch it, you'll kind of know why they're not casting him as Batman though, because he is a skinny dude.
That's what I'm saying. He's skinny. Mark Hamill has some weight to him, but like no fan is gonna sit there and go, "Fuck this! I don't want to fucking watch this." Like, are you fucking kidding me? It's Kevin Conroy and fucking Mark Hamill.
So he's not exactly the Batman Beyond Bruce, because there's a lot of other stuff going on in that story, but he's basically that same archetype.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna have to. Oh shit! It's Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy, and he's got the gravelly voice. God damn it, Kate! It's perfect.
He could absolutely 100% do it. And seriously, I wouldn't complain. I don't think any of the fans, that grew up watching the show and, actual Batman fans would bitch and moan about having just the people that did the animated series just fucking make a live action movie. Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, get the cast back, as much as you can. The Tara Strong was in it. She can easily play like any of them. Like with Harley Quinn, she can easily still play her. Like it wouldn't be that hard. It would be fucking better than anything they've put out. So movie wise, anyway. But I'll have to watch these because I haven't.
They're honestly, in my opinion, the show. Oh god, the crossover was not very good in my opinion. But it did have some really interesting stuff. Like the 1988 Batman movie is part of that cinematic universe, or part of the like multiverse of that show. Like the Birds of Prey show from the 90s is part of it. The Doom Patrol is part of it. Like they just like a ton of these different or like there's like a crossover with the current movie Flash. There's a lot of surprises. Oh, Lucifer's in it. In the show Lucifer.
He's in the crossover.
Yeah, so he's technically based on a DC character.
Yeah, it's a whole. The show is pretty good.
Yeah. I enjoyed the first couple seasons when it started introducing like his mom and stuff.
It got really weird for a little while, which some of those shows do.
Yeah.
That whole arc was kind of dumb. I think that when they brought it back on Netflix, it kind of redeemed it a little bit. It's been a while since I've watched that new season, but that's cool. He's in that whole crossover thing. I heard they did on Krypton, they did Lobo, and I have yet to watch any clips of that because
he's not Randy Savage.
Yeah, because he's not fucking Randy Savage for one. I found that I was talking to Courtney, my fiance. I was like, because she she really wanted to decorate this place how she wants. So she we got a new bed and stuff. She got these duvet covers. And I was getting their shit earlier. And I was like, man, this sucks. Like I can't believe I didn't like have an input on your duvet cover because I would like to have been able to like have some sort of say like, well, you said you liked it and stuff. I'm like, but it's not this. And on fucking like I think Redbubble or something, there is a painted thing of Randy Savage going, the cream always rises, and it could be in anything. So like this big ass king size duvet, fucking the cream always rises, and I'm like, it's like $100 some for a king size. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna get that. I'm still gonna get the Jesus, elbow dropping Jesus, fucking Macho Man just taking down Jesus in heaven poster. I want that. Just put it like right up on the fucking wall. I haven't seen the Lobo on Krypton, but
I think there was a plan to have like a Lobo show, and I think that died when Krypton died, unfortunately. And the show Krypton, not when the planet died, which was
like even just like kind of watching, like I'm like going to YouTube, like scrolling through like the thumbnails of like Lobo videos and stuff from here, and I don't know, man. I don't know if it's good or not. He kind of looks. It almost reminds me, and I haven't like heard his voice or anything or the acting, but just from the stills and the gifs and stuff, it kind of looks like if Jared Leto tried playing Lobo, and I don't know if that's going to go well.
Yeah, he seemed a little skinny. That was like my only complaint about.
Like Lobo should have been like
in the Doom Patrol. He's like he was a little too skinny, even though like I think probably realistically, as far as like an actual human person's build, he was exactly the right size for that kind of character. But I just like remember him from the comics being like massive, but you can't get that massive without doing some very dangerous things to your body chemically.
So fucking, I don't know if you ever saw it, but Tommy showed it to me a while back. The Lobo Christmas special.
Oh yeah, the paramilitary Christmas special.
Yeah, the Christmas special, which is the closest thing we're ever probably gonna get to like a Lobo fucking show or anything like that. Yeah. I was done really well. Like it would be cool to get more of that, but
if I remember correctly, the guy who played Chip in Batman Returns plays him.
I think so.
And I think also played Leatherface in the rebooted Texas Chainsaw movies back in the early O's.
And it looks like way more like Lobo than the dude from Krypton does.
Yeah.
He's just jacked. And that's all you need is just some beefhead jacked dude. You just need Randy Savage. That's really just all you need. We just need to figure out
how to get him back. We need to figure out how to get Randy back.
Randy Savage back. You imagine him just coming out of the fucking grave, just bringing him back. Don't want no tricks. Where's Elizabeth?
I got bad news about Elizabeth, Randy. Oh, did Luther take her down? Like, yep. Lex Luger took her down. Oh, Luther.
What you should do is, and it would be great if it was a movie, and we should make a comic of it, Tommy, or I don't know. We should make a comic of Macho Man Randy Savage, like a Crow spinoff, but it's Macho Man coming up and putting on like the Lobo face paint. It's like a Crow ripoff, but it's just Macho Man just becoming Lobo brought back. Because Elizabeth was taken from him. And just a quick little like fucking 4 inches off of that. Just making fun of the Crow, have its own soundtrack to come with it, which is just like
did you ever see the Skyrim mod where somebody replaced all the dragons with
yes. Dragons? Oh, I did that. The second that mod came out and I was still playing Skyrim, you bet your ass I was fucking going around there getting drunk, fighting Macho Man, fucking
Macho Man coming to get you.
That whole video, the whole intro is just better because it's just you hear him in the background. Oh, Macho Madness coming out! You just hear him just faintly like, what is that? And they're all like looking around and you're just, oh yeah, just like,
I'm going to read some comments while we because I'm way behind here.
Right, Tommy. That's
yeah. So it says recast everyone in the movies. Yeah, that'll help the DC cinematic universe. Yeah, I think they've just given up on the idea of that being a universe at this point. There's going to be some of the movies like Aquaman and Wonder Woman that are happening in the same like continuity.
Aquaman, and I was not a big Aquaman fan to begin with, but I don't know. The DC universe is like none of the movies seem good. Any of the new ones I've tried watching, I just don't like at all. It's just boring. Or they have that Zack Snyder. Like Zack Snyder kind of reminds me of like Pro Tools, but movies. So there's that very like overly polished, overly produced look that's just all about. It's almost Michael Bay-ish, where Michael Bay just relies off explosions and shit. Zack Snyder relies off slow-mo and just like weird fucking like just filtering on the cameras or whatever. I'm not a movie producer. I don't know the technical terms, but you all saw 300. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The next one is Al Franken was a great Lex Luthor. Oh shit. So do you have the people hooting and hollering at 8 p.m. where you are?
Mm-mm.
So we have the thing called a joyful noise over here, where everybody is like screaming out of their windows every night at 8 p.m. It's freaking my cat out right now. Let me see. Next one is Abigail saying needs more explosions, no brains or plot, only explosions. Could I potentially recommend that Abigail watches the I think it was 2010 movie Punisher Warzone, which is,
I never watched that because Ray Stevens is the shit. And
Ray Stevens is a great Punisher, and the movie is just effectively an explosion happening over and over again. Like it's a cartoon how violent it is.
Michael Bay's watching it just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was directed by Lexi Alexander, who got her start. Like she does mostly TV stuff now, but she got her start in Germany as a stunt producer or a stunt coordinator and a stunt person. So like she knows action, and she's really, really good at it. So it's just basically the craziest moments from the Garth Ennis Punisher comics all thrown together. You have like Jigsaw in it, in like played by I think Dominic West from The Wire, just doing a terrible like New York accent. It's fantastic. I thoroughly recommend it. Just be very drunk while you watch it.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I've been meaning to. I was a big fan because I was pretty young and didn't know a lot better, but I was a big fan of like the Thomas Jane Punisher, and it's not bad. Watching it years later, I'm like, oh, there's issues. First, you have John Travolta,
Yeah,
and then you have John Travolta, then you have more John Travolta. You know, who isn't that bad? It probably wasn't great in that, and so like I remember growing up and seeing that, like, well, it's not Thomas Jane. I'm not gonna watch this. Blah blah blah, and I'm like. That's Ray Stevens, though. I mean, that's all Punisher needs to be. There doesn't need to be like some intricate fucking plot. It just give him a gun and a bunch of explosions and like this bad guy like killed your family. Just do your thing. Just go kill them. Do what you do. We don't need some like weird, intricate, introspective character stuff. We don't. And just go kill people, man. That's Michael Bay couldn't fuck it up, but if he did direct it, he would fuck it up. He would do something really fucking stupid to it.
Odin97 says Lobo can't ever die, which technically true. I think that's that's another one of those situations. I think that's like Alfred, where like when he dies, 1,000 other
Alfred is just Lobo.
Yeah, but it's just and then all the Lobos that sprout from his blood kill each other until there's one Lobo left, and that's what happens with Alfred as well. In the continuity.
Why are we making comics like this? Just shit like that. Just little one-offs of just like Alfred, a 4-issue special. You guys saw Pennyworth? I haven't watched that yet, by the way. I'm going to.
I love
it's just Alfred stuff. Fuck that. We have the most definitive Alfred comic to date. It is about his origins, and it's just like opens almost aliens-ish. You got fog, you have these eggs, they open up, Alfred start popping out. There's this one Alfred who survived the first few waves, just all bloody and shit, just going ham on them and stuff. And it's just an extravaganza for 4 issues. Just Alfred's killing each other and killing each other. And at the very end, he wakes up in an opium den and realizes, oh shit, I gotta get my life together. Oh shit, I'm a butler. My bad.
And then Tommy also says he likes the idea of the Macho Man Miss Elizabeth Crow comic.
That would be hilarious. That would be.
Honestly, I'm going to say this. Maybe you wouldn't want this. I give anybody who wants to permission to make this because I just want it to exist in the world.
I would 100% be down to work on that because I think it would just be the funny. Not only is it like a slap in the face to like goths in general that just idolizes the Crow, but it's also merging two great things like gothy shit and Macho Man and supernatural shit, and just it's kind of like the merge of goth and WWE. Just merge them together. We'll get Vince McMahon in there. We'll get his permission while he fixes the economy. Apparently,
yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I just fired like a third of my employees. I guess I'm qualified to restart the economy.
I just want to see him make his first speech, just like the White House, and then just Stone Cold just breaks it up with a chair. Fucking Stone Cold out of retirement, coming back, just pounds some beer and just beats the ever-loving shit out of him and the entire cabinet.
Fucking Vince McMahon power walking to a president of the United States podium is this. I hope I never see it in my life, but I kind of want to see it. I don't want the environment.
End of days right there. That is the last piece of the puzzle that opens the gate to hell and unleashes the rapture and hell on earth for the next God knows how many years. Is Vince McMahon power walking to the fucking podium, about to give his first fucking official speech on how to fix the economy. And I guarantee jabroni is going to be used somewhere in that speech. And that is it. We are done. Like, well, it was a good run. The streets are cracking open. Demons are flying out. Like, well, we deserve this.
Meanwhile, in The Dark Knight Returns.
And we're back.
Oh, yeah. So Two-Face's old gang is, I think they're playing cards. A man wearing bandages goes to visit them and indicates that he is in charge now, and he is the new Two-Face. I wonder who that could be.
I wonder. What you don't see is him tossing a coin at them. Very ominous.
Well, it's one of the things that they showed in the earlier. In some, I'm skipping over a lot of these talking heads things. And the thing that he has now is he has the he still has a silver dollar, the two-headed silver dollar, but they're both unmarked now.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have one that was one with his head. They're heads on both sides, and then one of them was crossed out, and this one is just clean on both sides.
He's got a very Lex Luthor look too. Speaking of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I think
very suave.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing that he was getting into. Like, if in the society he was creating, just like everybody shaves their head all the time. And I guess like if he was like trying to get his head, because Two-Face's look was like it was like scarred down one side, but then also like, all the hair on that side was white.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if like when to resist the temptation of going back to his old ways, he also shaved his head to like hide the white hair or something.
Imagine a haircut fixing your multiple personality problem. You know what? The key to this isn't some sort of psychotherapy or whatever else intense, behavior modification. No, man. I wasted years of being a criminal. All I could have done was shave my fucking head. Boom, temptation done. Boom. I don't have to see the white tuft of fucking hair. I'm obviously not crazy. I don't worry about the fucked up side of my face. Haircut fixes it every time.
So then after the Two-Face scene, Bruce has officially become Batman again because he is in the living room of Wayne Manor, and once again a bat flies through the window. There's just a lot. I don't know if that's a great scene to have. It kind of just implies that every decision Bruce Wayne makes in his life is spurred on by something crashing through his window. Like, did a car drive through his window, and that's why he decided to start racing?
Car, time to, He's also getting pretty fucking drunk too. Unless
that's the thing in this that they pointed out early on was just like, oh, hey, Bruce, you're actually drinking now because you never used to drink back in the day. You used to like hide it. You used to like drink
and shit in his drinks and stuff and pretend he was getting trashed.
Yeah, and it's like, well, you get like 17 whiskeys deep, and it's like, yeah, putting on a Batman suit seems like a great idea.
I would if I had, if I was Batman and had billions of dollars in a bat cave full of kick-ass hardware, a couple bottles of tequila, and I'm probably going to go, try to save the world. I'm probably going to make it to my front steps where I just puke everywhere, but, it's a good idea. Just the bat suits later on had to be modified to just suck up all the vomit and stuff. Clean the suit internally. What's this new feature for, Mr. Wayne? Just don't worry about it.
Like was it Ultimate Iron Man, which is like an alternate universe Iron Man. They actually had to like build contraptions into the Iron Man suit to clean up all the vomit from all of his. Just because, like, yeah, I never put on the armor unless I'm like three martinis deep.
It's the middle of a fight. Hold on. I need a couple martinis.
It's like, yeah, I fly better when I'm drunk. So he goes out and starts beating up muggers. It's just what you do when you're Batman.
It just kicks the holy shit out. It doesn't just beat them up. He just like kicks the ungodly shit out of them. And I think it implies that. I don't think it really implies that he kills them, but they're not okay after this though. None of them are.
Yeah, in some of the monologue that you get in the captions in this book, he gets very much into like I just kicked him in the kidney. It's like it'll probably take 2 surgeries and several months in bed, but he'll live.
He'll live. And like he's sitting there, I was just watching like reading one where he's like calculating from this angle 3 options. I will kill him. 2 other option capacity. This one option hurts. That's what he's like. Breaks the dude's femur and just fucks him up and just, oh, Batman, don't go changing.
So he ends up beating up more bad guys, finds Two-Face's coin, and at the same time we're introducing Carrie Kelly, who's going to eventually become the new Robin in this. Carrie is an interesting character. She was apparently the suggestion of making Robin a girl was given to Frank Miller by another comic book writer called John Byrne, a writer and artist, who is sort of very famous for his. He did a kind of a legendary run on the Fantastic Four. He's done some Batman stuff. He's done a lot of Superman stuff. He was responsible for the reboot of Superman in the 1980s, where they depowered him a bit and turned Lex Luthor from a mad scientist into like a corporate supervillain. So like he came up with all those ideas. He's also he's a pretty controversial character. He said some weird stuff about hiring Jessica Alba as the Invisible Woman and some pleasant shit about that. And he's kind of notorious for being he runs a message board, which is the only way he has social media, is his own message board, and he will like, if somebody says something he doesn't like, and that's not just like, insults him, that's, somebody says like, Tommy saying John Byrne equals legend. Honestly, I mean, he is a legend. Like, he's a fantastic writer, a fantastic artist. But yeah, he's a bit of a shithead.
Just on his own message board, it's like the whole wedding singer. I have a microphone and I'll listen to every goddamn word I have to say. Just like, I'm the king of my own world.
So from this, the Joker sees Batman on the television and then starts coming out of the catatonia that he's been in for quite a while.
Because why not?
I mean, it's definitely interesting to see, because so much of the Joker's look has been ascribed to being what happened to him at Ace Chemical Plant, but in this, like, the red lips are are lipstick. They're like an affectation. Like, he's pale and he has green hair, but he's never particularly. He doesn't look as over the top of the Joker when he's catatonic as he normally does. Where I think like his portrayal in like The Killing Joke has him be like, resting Joker face. Like he always looks like that. There's no, he's not adding anything on top of himself. And I think that might have been one of the things that was borrowed for the Christopher Nolan movie. The idea that actually is makeup. That's not just how he looks.
Which is, I think I kind of like that concept a little bit more of him, just kind of, he already has the green hair, is pale, but he kind of applies the makeup to kind of, make him more of who he is versus the whole, the chemical plant. That's just how he looks now. I don't know. Kind of more to the character to kind of have that, getting into character kind of a thing. I got to put on the lipstick, put on some goodbye horses, just slowly apply it,
This is a guy who has he has an old school iPod. He only has one song on it, and it is Goodbye.
It is 100% is, because if you're gonna do some sort of transformation of any sort, you got to check your wiener, put on lipstick, and put on Goodbye Horses. That's that's what you do. I mean, it's the go-to.
One of the Joker's old gang members goes to see him in Arkham Asylum and asks if he should make if it would be okay if he made bombs for Two-Face. It is implied that the Joker agrees to this, which is kind of one of those interesting things, because you're going to see this gang member, this sort of bomb creator, over not in the next issue, but in the third issue. You're going to see a lot of him where he creates these cybernetic children,
which was probably the most terrifying part of the comic. It was just
little Orphan Annie looking Moppets that fly around and explode.
Bunch of little pieces of shit is what they are. Fuck that. Not only does he have Joker and Two-Face's malarkey to put up with, now he has a bunch of fucking children that can emit fucking gas and explode and do all sorts of dumb shit. I feel bad for Batman.
Yeah. Two-Face takes over a TV news report. Batman tries to stop him. Batman's using a gun in this scene, which I don't know if that was a situation where he was doing it for the ease of use of it, or if that was just before Frank Miller decided that Batman is not going to be using a gun in this book, because later on he says this is the tool of the enemy. We don't use it. But here he is in the first issue shooting a damn gun.
But I think that with the rifle and stuff, I think it's a is it like a grapple gun or something like that? So I thought I saw him using it kind of to get on a helicopter. I don't think he actually. Let me see real quick. Oh yeah, it looks like it's a grapple gun.
All right, that's definitely different from his. I guess the handheld grapple gun. Maybe that was a creation of the movie. Maybe that was originally from the movie that they created.
Gun he modified it, because he does mention when he's looking at his belt and stuff that he mentions he has a grapple gun in the belt, but he's using this rifle, maybe just distance. I don't know the story behind it, but he does reference that he's he has a gun and stuff, and I was like, oh cool, Batman has a sniper rifle, this is gonna get really easy real quick. Nope, it looks like it's just a grapple from what it looks like to me. So
yeah.
No, it's not grapple, but it's shoots a line. It's like a line gun, so it shoots a tightrope or whatever from to walk over.
So just run. Okay. So he also gets shot in the yellow bat symbol, revealing it to be Kevlar lined, which I always remembered that being a piece of trivia, you get trading cards and things why does Batman have a big yellow sign on his chest? It's yes, it's hard. It's the first thing. It's double reinforced with Kevlar and bulletproof lining, and it's going to be the first thing anybody tries to shoot at. This is also an opportunity. So when they first started creating it, I guess DC were pretty adamant that they used the traditional Batman logo on the chest, which is the bat symbol in the yellow circle.
Mm-hmm.
But this is sort of their excuse to get out of it, because that never comes back. Anytime you see Batman now, it is just black bat symbol over a gray suit. That's it. So I guess they were just pretty much done. We don't want to use the yellow oval, which I don't know. I like the yellow oval. It's I guess it wouldn't. I understand it wouldn't work for a story like this, but I like it. I like the I like some of the goofier aspects of like costuming and comics.
Yeah, I do like the black on gray a lot. I do like the whole let's get rid of the logo. He got shot. It's a good excuse to kind of like evolve into this, darker Batman.
He tussles with Two-Face. He throws Two-Face into an office building, and Two-Face reveals himself to actually be Harvey Dent. He's still physically cured, but he's now mentally committed himself to the darker personality that he has. He starts screaming, both sides match, which Batman, it kind of echoes this concept that Bruce Wayne has kind of thrown away the idea of being Bruce Wayne and Batman. He is kind of just Batman now. And that's our first issue. So an hour, 20 minutes into this cast, we are one issue into a 4-issue series. So we might need to hustle along a little bit.
Gotta move quicker.
Yeah, so issue 2 is where we start getting into the mutants. I really like the mutants as a concept. They've shown up in a couple of cartoons, and they were in the Gotham show a little bit. The mutant leader is in that show. But one of the things I really noticed while I was reading this is, I guess I noticed it before, but I didn't think much of it. The mutant leader has one weird nipple.
Yeah, he fucking... Well, it kind of... I had to go through it real quick because I saw, when you first see him, he has the one weird nipple. And then there's a scene later on where you see like both of his weird fucking nipples. But that one scene, the one iconic scene when you first see him, it's just nothing. And there's one weird fucking nipple. And what the fuck is the deal with that? I mean,
yeah, just the nipple and the friggin'. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong issue here. The nipple and just his, once again, is like strange method of speaking. It's like we will kill the fool Batman. We will snap the neck of the man Commissioner Gordon. Hold on, let me see here. Yeah, just his guy's weird fucking nipples.
Yeah, he's just like really weird fucking nipple. Especially that first scene. Like again, you see him and all of his weird, like fucking weird nipple glory. He really looks like God, what's his fucking face? Fucking Krang, like the his like body dude. He almost looks a lot like him. The Krang from the Ninja Turtle.
Oh, yeah.
He looks a lot like him.
Not Krang, but his like his
his dude, yeah, the body dude, whatever his real name is. If it even has one. Oh Jesus! I didn't realize they tried to put Krang in like. I didn't realize. I totally forgot they made like new Ninja Turtle movies that I'm sure were horrible as fuck. But I do see a thing where like they brought him in like a live action. I'm like, ooh, that looks bad.
Yeah, I think they're doing. I think they're rebooting them again, actually, which I'm not thrilled about.
Comics, just make them like the comics. Just go, just say fuck it, make it rated R, and just give the fans what they want. Shredder dropping the F-bomb.
So the mutants threaten Commissioner Gordon's life because while he's walking around, Commissioner Gordon was almost mugged by a mutant and ended up killing him. Batman beats up a bunch of them, starts hunting the mutants. In the middle of all this, Commissioner Gordon's replacement is named, who is a woman named, is it Ellen Yindel?
Yeah, Ellen Yindel.
Who I don't think we've seen in any other continuity. I don't think she's one of those characters that never really has been moved over. Like Carrie Kelly, we've seen in mainstream DC continuity a little bit as a little girl, but we've never had Ellen Yindel show up, which is interesting because she's one of those characters I think would probably work, especially if you kind of saw her starting out. Like you would understand why she's such a hard ass and.
Mm-hmm. Well, at this point of the comic too, it's worth noting the whole reason, like when the mutants attacked Gordon, the mutant leader had made a broadcast about, they fucking, everybody just fucking hates Gordon, especially the mutants. They want to kill him, they want him to die, and so that mutant was there to try and kill him. Gordon obviously kills the dude, realizes this is the fucking kid, but does his job because some dude's trying to kill him. And so the mutant leader and like they all just have this big hard on for Commissioner Gordon. The entire city almost blames him for like the mutant stuff, kind of like, oh, he could have done a better job with it. And Commissioner fucking Gordon, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he's doing the best he can there. He's still pretty badass in all this, but yeah, that's the whole thing is like they just have this huge hard on for him. And so fucking this whole second issue with the mutant stuff is them trying to like go after Gordon and the whole city trying to blame Gordon and try to get this replacement in for Gordon because it's a mandatory retirement for him. That's what they keep referring to as. He's being forced to retire at 70. So
yeah,
they want someone who's more in line with their proper, with what the mayor and all them wants instead of Gordon, who's basically like, fuck these guys, let's do our jobs, let's fucking put them away, and the rest of them are just living in fear of these fucking people. So
yeah. And then from there, Batman attacks a mutant, I guess a meeting of the mutant gang with a huge ass tank.
Yeah, he just fucks them up with that thing.
This is one of those things.
Batmobile was the tank in these.
Yeah, this is definitely where the idea for the Tumbler in the Nolan movies came from. The idea of like the Batmobile not being like a souped-up Lamborghini. It's not like it's not a car with Batman's face on it. It's actually like a military vehicle. Like the idea like you're going to use, the idea that he's used a tank in this definitely inspired them using, the Tumbler, which I guess is sort of supposed to be like a modified Humvee type thing. Mutant leader does end up kind of beating the fuck out of him, though. I mean, he takes a lot of damage, but he definitely beats the shit out of Batman, and he only escapes thanks to Carrie Kelly, who is now basically after purchasing a Robin Halloween costume, is decided she's Robin.
And Batman's like mental state and all of this is basically. He's at this point before he gets in the fight with the mutant leader. He's at this point of like, I could just take him out with the tank, but I'm excited by the idea of that I don't know if I can beat this guy or not.
Yeah.
So it gives him this like thrill because again he's adopting like I'm Batman. Bruce Wayne is I'm just Batman. So this whole thrill of like I'm 60 years old, I may not be able to beat this dude that's in his prime. He's in superior shape. He's in his prime. And he just gets out of the tank and proceeds to, almost get his ass handed to him in a way. basically, probably would have died had she not intervened.
Yeah, and there's the whole thing too. I think that I may be able to like kill this guy with a tank, but it's more of a fight for the respect, or maybe not even the respect, but like the idea of like showing this, this powerful gang of the mutants that you are in fact in charge. Like, like I'm the boss. After that, many of the mutants get arrested, including the mutant leader. And then we cut to the White House. So we talked about it a little bit before. Ronald Reagan does not come off well in this book whatsoever. He's basically asking Superman. They have a conversation about him. Superman promises
Superman at the end of it.
Yeah, it's like I guess if he gets out of control, I'll be okay to take him down.
Because Superman's like this lapdog at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing that comes in some of the later Dark Knight stuff that Miller wrote is how much the government kind of has him by the throat. There's some reasons why, like he's not just like
he references it a little bit as you get near like issue 4 and stuff. Kind of,
yeah.
The fact that a lot of superheroes either not really fell by the wayside, but I think he kind of hints that a lot of them were kind of hunted down and stuff. And so basically to kind of like, okay, knock this off, I'll be your guys' lapdog. He loses his like invisibility and stuff to the government. He's just there to help the U.S. government at this point, kind of in order to like hopefully resemble some sort of life for like superheroes, to where if the government feels safe that they have the Man of Steel, they're in control. It's like this falsely. I think the way he worded it, like, and there was like, you can't let oh, is it something about you can't let man know that giants walk among them, something like that, basically, to where basically he's like basically like a god, and I got to kind of downplay it a lot because people basically hate what they don't understand and will try and kill or control it. So
yeah. We cut to Batman and Robin in the Batcave. Carrie and Alfred are tending to Batman's wounds, and then we see a little montage of people starting to get into vigilantism. People inspired by Batman start beating up and killing criminals, but also there's people who are like shooting up movie theaters. And now we gotta now I have the question, did The Dark Knight Returns predict Pizzagate? Because I feel like a lot of media-born conspiracy theories operate today exactly like they are in this comic book, and I'm curious if it's just he was very prescient or he just saw what was in the water at the time. After that, the mayor goes to meet with the mutant leader in prison, and the mutant leader rips out the mayor's throat.
Yep, just straight up fucking murders him.
Yep.
Even before this, we do have a slight blurb of Joker kind of in smaller panels with his weird fucking doctor that just man, that dude sucks. That dude is so delusional, just on his pedestal of actively blaming Batman publicly for stuff, saying that these criminals, I mean, the whole thing that a lot of movies have already kind of touched on a bit, where these villains, these supervillains exist with superheroes being around because superheroes are the cause of it. Somebody's always gonna come and rise up against it, but he kind of goes about it pretty much blaming all crime and the mutants and everything just on Batman, with some of the dumbest mental gymnastics I've read in a while for that dude to go through, just being and he does it with Harvey Dent. He's innocent. I wouldn't say I can't say that he wouldn't go back to crime, but he's an innocent man, trying to play the fact that he's just his other side is just taken over. He's unaware, and then the whole Joker thing, which Joker's rehabilitated, he's fine, and that fucking goes well for him pretty quick.
Yeah, so, and I think a lot of that sort of mentality also was once again informed the Nolan movies. The idea that we have cops, then they bring in gangsters, and then suddenly a man with a costume shows up, and then suddenly the forces of evil have people in costumes showing up as well. So that was it's interesting to see the pieces of this that were sort of borrowed and utilized in those movies, because they're not in no way, shape, or form an accurate adaptation of this comic at all, but a lot of ideas were taken.
Yeah,
used pretty well.
A lot of them were. So but I mean, all those movies borrowed something. I don't think there was an original Batman live action movie. Everything was borrowed from some comics. Maybe, I don't know, Schumacher's bastardization of movies, maybe.
Well, I mean that.
Well, obviously he
borrowed a lot from the '66 Batman.
He did, but he also, I noticed now, reading this comic and stuff, these series, I noticed that he did take a big part of the series to apply it to, his, couple movies he did was the nipples from the mutant. He put them on Batman, and that's obviously Schumacher's Batman, what's Batman? Here, read these comics for reference. Okay, he's flipping through them. The fuck are these? That look great on Batman, and now Batman has fucking nips on his bat suit, which is one of the most atrocious things.
Yeah,
I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Well, there we have it. We figured it out. The bat nipples were Frank Miller's fault the whole time.
There were. Frank Miller right now is watching this son of a bitch. How they found out.
Figure it out.
I kind of want to meet him and just be go to a convention and just meet him and just be hey man, I need you to apologize for something. I'm not going to apologize. Political shit. No. I don't give a fuck about that. Apologize for the mutant nipples, which inspired the Schumacher Batman nipples on his suit. And watch him, just his face as he tries to register that. We're blaming you for the 90s Batman, all right?
And Batman breaks the mutant leader out of prison, kicks his ass, and
Kicks the fuck out of him.
yeah. This isn't a mud hole. It's a surgical table, I think.
What was it? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it? What's the exact line? It's such a great fucking line too, where he just completely just dismantles the fuck out of the dude.
You don't get it, boy. This isn't a mud hole. It's an operating table, and I'm a surgeon.
Yeah. He had some great fucking like one-liners in here too. Like Frank Miller wrote some really, really great fucking lines for him.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Miller's he's done a little bit of writing for Hollywood, and he did a lot of the stuff that he's done has been aside from obviously there was a Sin City and the Spirit movies that he had a hand in directing, but he also I believe he co-wrote the second RoboCop movie.
He co-wrote the second RoboCop?
I think so.
Oh, I hold on. Hold on.
Am I just thinking of a comic book about RoboCop that he wrote?
No, he did. Yeah, he wrote it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The original
it was pretty fucking good.
I think they changed a lot of it before it got to screen, but yeah, I think he co-wrote the original script for RoboCop 2.
Waylon Green and Frank Miller wrote the screenplay. Story by Frank Miller, so he story, which is great because I mean, RoboCop 2 is great.
Yeah.
I remember
Frank Miller helped with RoboCop 3. That's not a thing you would want to boast about. RoboCop 3, I think that had like a cyborg samurai and like.
I'm pretty sure if I remember right, Tommy will defend RoboCop 3.
Oh no!
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I gotta watch it again, but I remember like if you watch him in sequence, RoboCop 1, fuck yeah, RoboCop 2, fuck yeah, you get to 3 and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like. It's a wild, and it didn't have a decent soundtrack though. There was something redeeming about RoboCop 3. I don't remember what it was. I just remember being just an hellacious shit show of a movie. It's a 93. They bill it as a 93 cyberpunk movie, and I'm like, well, and yeah, Frank Miller wrote the fuck out of that too. So.
And it was directed and co-written by with Frank Miller by Fred Decker, who is Fred Decker. He did the Monster Squad, which is like I think the first movie with monsters in it I ever saw. Demolition Man. He wrote.
Ooh, Demolition Man. There we go. That's a. But they don't get what's his face to come back and play Frank Murphy. So.
Yeah,
Weller's not in it. I don't give a shit. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I just remember it being. I don't know. I guess it wasn't Tommy that the defense. There was a friend of mine that has it. That'll just like. They just one time was like just straight up trying to defend RoboCop 3, and I'm like, how? And I had just recently watched it. And I was like, this movie is terrible. And he's like, no man, it's like really good. I'm like. But when is it really good? Because it is a terrible shitfest of a movie. I mean, it's better than a lot of movies, but as far as RoboCop goes, just watching that sequence, you can entirely cut out RoboCop 3 and just you wouldn't be missing anything. Almost like cutting out the Phantom Menace, and you're not missing anything at all. So,
all right, and after this, we see a lot of people becoming Sons of the Batman. There was, I guess, a new street gang that is gonna pop up a little bit in the future of this title. But yeah, Sons of the Bat. They paint their face with a bat symbol and they go beat up and kill criminals.
Yeah.
So moving on from issue 2, we get to issue 3. Now this is where I've stopped taking notes. So I think we'll just riff on these a little bit. But the issue 3 is where they introduce the Nazis.
Yeah, like just out of nowhere, you have fucking Nazis. So
and they're friends with the Joker.
Yeah, which is pretty weird because if I remember right, isn't there a comic where the Joker's like basically like, you know, I'm like a terrible psychotic piece of shit, but I'm not a Nazi. Like this whole like rant of like, yes, I like rape and kill and murder and all this shit like this. I am an unhinged psycho. Like this, I gotta find the rant, but basically it's like, but I'm not a fucking, but I'm not a fucking Nazi. Although I gotta find it. It's like it's such a great fucking. It was something great about it. Like it was with fucking what's his face, Red Skull.
Oh,
yeah, I gotta find it. Here's the
crossover.
Yeah, it was like a he has like limits. So hold on, let me find this thing here and send it to you. It's what was it? I remember this. This is actually pretty great. There you go. Let me send this to you. And like this whole like conversation with Red Skull is amazing. Oh, basically, what was it like? Was it like? You mean that's not some crazy disguise? I've been working with a Nazi. The mask must be cutting off the oxygen to your brain. I may be a criminal lunatic, but I'm an American criminal lunatic. Keep back, boys. This creep is mine.
Hopefully, people can notice. Yeah.
So even Joker isn't a fucking Nazi. So for all the fucking alt-right fucking Proud Boy dudes that try to have like the little Joker fucking profile pics and like why is that, the whole shit and idolizing people, like the Joker hates Nazis just as much as we all do. So find a different fucking role model, or better yet, just don't be a piece of shit.
Yeah, and their leader Bruno, who is I've heard different things about Bruno. Whether Bruno is supposed to be a female bodybuilder or like a trans person, or
I thought it was a trans person because they do reference what was that? They do reference was it the surgery or something with her tatas? There's something like that. They reference something about her physical form, like it was like a new surgery or something. Let me see here. Guess with your boyfriend and the loony bin, you got to pay for your own body work. So they kind of reference some sort of body work, which probably implies to some sort of surgery, which could be. I mean, it very well could be.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean that may have been where they were going with it. I mean, I know a lot of female bodybuilders just because of the low level of body fat that you're touting around. Do end up going for like breast enhancement and things like that. They don't like, they like having muscle, but don't like feeling particularly masculine. But I don't know. Anyway, Bruno has swastikas tattooed on their chest and buttocks. That's quite the personal decision for your life. You're definitely putting yourself into a very specific career path with those enhancements. Let me see.
It was actually a John Byrne fucking comic, is where that's from. The Joker and the Nazis.
Oh, really?
Here, let me send this to you. Yeah, so it comes full circle, man. There you go.
But yeah, so they're a liquor store, and then what looks like a homeless woman ends up fighting them, obviously revealing herself to be Batman in a disguise.
The best bat suit is the babushka. Looks like kind of like a half babushka, half homeless, half
like her legs look like. Have you ever seen
what the fuck is up with her feet? Look at that.
Yeah, there's like bunions and boils, and it's like God, you ever watch oh God, what is it called? My 600-pound life.
I don't think so.
It's God, in isolation, we've got into all these Lifetime reality television shows, and it's about people who want like stomach stapling surgery. It's like, yeah, carry around a lot of weight, and your legs start looking like that because things aren't going where they're supposed to be.
That's wild.
Yeah, sick. And
it's crazy because like he went that hard on this disguise. That's the dedication of Bruce Wayne. Is like, you know what? I could have like, you know, put on like a fake mustache and a beard, and you know, there's a scene where he's like wearing like a different face mask or whatever, but it doesn't really explain like why he went so hard with this like in this insane getup. Like this is a dedication to his craft, if anything, at this point, and like I just don't see any reason why he just went so fucking hard on that outfit. Like just this grotesque looking monster. Like it just, and everyone just act like it's fine, you know.
This is fine.
Oh yeah, there's like Hulk like entity that's hanging out with a giant bottle of fucking booze off to our right, you know, just hanging out screaming, oh, it's just a crazy homeless person. I'm like,
it's Gladys, the old lady who sometimes throws batarangs.
Yeah, Gladys. I don't know where she got him, but you know, we don't ask questions. No questions.
Some more stuff happens, some more talking head stuff. Batman saves some people from being blown up by those horrible flying children that we hate.
Yeah, those things are fuck those things.
He ends up meeting up with Superman. So Superman and Bruce Wayne are hanging out, riding horses, you know, being bros. Superman is looking very Frank Frazetta painting, while Batman is kind of scowling in the background. There's a lot of Ronald Reagan wearing American flag suits and just generally looking.
Oh, Reagan.
Yeah, I think there's something very. I don't know if it was inspired. One inspired the other, or they're just coming from the same place. I think there's something like very Max Headroom about the way that like, the news reports and the way the politicians are portrayed in this. Because like Frank Miller's a dude who, and I guess we'll get into it now. He started out, I want to say, probably like pretty left wing. He had like this weird turn somewhere around Occupy Wall Street, where he was just going like ape shit on like absolutely hating Occupy Wall Street and everybody who was involved in it. And then when the 2016 election came around, he pivoted hard left. Like he's now like he's basically chalked up some of his opinions about Occupy Wall Street to like. So he's never specifically said what it was, but he basically disappeared from the professional world of comics and movie making for several years, and he reappeared with some facial injuries, with some you know, his hair had gone bright white. And basically everyone's and now his kind of head droops a little bit, and everyone kind of thinks that he probably had cancer, which was treated with a lot of surgery and probably a ton of chemotherapy. So his explanation was that I was on a lot of medication at the time, and you know, I was, you know, not in the headspace to make any kind of, you know, I was not in the headspace to be using social media in any capacity, let alone to make like grand political proclamations.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so it was just kind of a situation where they, you know, it's interesting. People like to say that he is some sort of like weird hard right conservative, and while I don't think he's particularly fond of liberals, he's also very much not a right winger. He doesn't seem to espouse any of those philosophies or values. He just seems to be a left winger with some like particularly contrarian tendencies, which is interesting. Like he obviously hates Ronald Reagan, but he also hates like the, you know, super liberal, the super liberal like Gothamites. So like, oh, I would never live in the city, and or like
the whole commentary that you have as you go through like issue 3 and 4 with like, you know, the random like the talking head, like the little news articles and stuff, the random people on the street, I would never live in the city and stuff. Some of that shit's just, it's fucking hilarious. It's funny watching just taking jabs at people. And Ronald Reagan looks, each panel that he's in from the start, and looks more ridiculous each time he's shown. It's like he's like almost like he kind of starts out almost like Genesis puppet, Land of Confusion, Ronald Reagan-y looking, and then just gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like he says the dumbest shit. It's just like, it's great. Like he's really just giving it to the old Reagan throughout this entire fucking thing, and it's fucking glorious.
Yeah, so Ronald Reagan is unfortunately having to send out Superman to deal with a nuclear warhead that has apparently been shot at the U.S. by the Russians. Yeah, Soviet forces.
Do you realize that Bruno has swastikas on her ass cheeks too?
Yep, on the buttocks.
Yeah, the Bruno just is dedicated to the cause.
Yeah, like this is my this is my career now.
Yeah, you see fucking this Reagan just like looks so ridiculous as you go through. And the first time you see Superman and the fucking his little pose with the horses and shit, it's just what a change in fucking scenery and just everything when you get to that first scene with him, and then it goes back to the dark bullshit.
So the Joker is about to be put on TV by his terrible asshole of a therapist. It's effectively supposed to be the David Letterman show, but they call him something else. I think God, what do they call him?
It's what's his fucking name? What the fuck is his name?
Something ridiculous, like David Crinoline or something like that.
It's something stupid. Let's see. They fucking said it here. Let's see.
Making for gripping radio.
I know, right?
Yeah.
When he asked him, like, "You want some lipstick?" He brought his own.
Yeah. And that's where things kind of start getting pretty obvious what's happening here. He ends up on the not David Letterman show, wearing his big business power suit, wearing his like 1980s
power walks to the podium.
Yeah, I think he's wearing Cuban heels. Like he's just, he's ready to rock. In the meantime, like the police are trying to hunt down Batman. He makes some yucks, claims he's going to kill everyone in this room. Everyone thinks that's real funny, but they don't realize that he is actually telling the truth. He kisses one of the other guests with his special lipstick. She turns, into a, it's basically the same deal with the Killing Joke and his hen buzzer, which turns you into kills you and turns your face into the grinning visage of Joker. Meanwhile, while the police are hunting down Batman, those horrible friggin' kids come back after them. They're shooting out gas. We cut back to the studio with not David Letterman, and the Joker has basically gassed the entire crowd.
So they died.
Yeah. Superman is still trying to fight the Soviets. The Joker goes to visit Selena Kyle, and I'm really I don't like what they did to Selena in this.
They really did her dirty in this, like really bad. Like they just had her like unintentionally, like just intentionally, just like not age well. Like she's just a shell of her former self at this point. She runs pretty much a brothel. I think.
Yeah, like an escort service, kind of. Same line of business, I suppose.
Yeah, they just really did her dirty in this.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know. It's well, like I'm generally positive about sex work as being work. It's just general, like they definitely used this, like they're definitely taking her down a notch, and that's what I didn't really like.
Yeah, they really, because they don't even like try to hide it. Basically, the way she's like treated by the Joker and just kind of the comic in general is like basically they've like taken her down quite a fucking bit, and where they're at with it, and it's kind of fucked up. I'm not a big fan of how they portrayed her.
Anyway, the Joker beats her up, ties her up, and dresses her as Wonder Woman for some reason.
Yeah, for whatever fucking reason that happens.
The Batman, with police still in pursuit, heads out to the county fair because they find cotton candy in the room where Selina was tied up, and so they figure he's at the county fair. The police chase him all the way there. Meanwhile, Superman is still fighting them damn Soviets. Let me see. The kids and the Joker and the I guess the scientist who makes the kids is just kind of rampaging around the place. Batman and Robin take out one of the children. The other one starts flying around, shooting gas. The Joker runs into a hall of mirrors with Batman in pursuit. Fire enough guns, end up on a roller coaster, and then end up, I believe, in the Tunnel of Love. It looks like a Tunnel of Love boat kind of situation, where they fight and struggle for a little while. Batman ends up throwing a batarang, which embeds itself in the Joker's eye. Which, like, if you're intentionally trying not to kill people, like, don't be throwing batarangs into eyes.
Batman at this point just does not give any sort of fucks.
He gives one specific fuck, which is, like, he will not openly kill the Joker. He breaks the Joker's arm, he breaks the Joker's neck, and then
he gets to the point of where, like, he just can't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, and that was I don't know if that's what leads into the last issue with him, saying that we don't use guns, we don't do this, because, like, the Joker, basically to show off, like, I can do what you can't, basically breaks his own neck, kind of leaving Batman kind of standing over the dead body of the man that everyone's going to believe he just killed. That ends the third issue. The third issue, so we have a triumvirate of, like, enemies. The first one is we have Two-Face. The second one we have the Mutant Leader. With the third one we have the Joker. So that's sort of it gives kind of a balance when contrasted with Batman, because Two-Face kind of shows the duality of Batman. They both have these alternate lives in different ways of expressing them. Two-Face has these two different personalities. Batman has Bruce Wayne and Batman. And at the end of issue 1, both Batman and Two-Face are now completely committed to their darker side. The second issue is Batman against the Mutant Leader. It's Batman basically trying to prove that he is still relevant in an increasingly violent world. So he's having to up his game. He now has to, like, drive a tank. He has to, beat the Mutant Leader within an inch of his life. Like, yes, it's a lot of very, it's Batman proving himself again. The third one is basically, I kind of see it as him trying to close the chapter on the way the world used to be, where the Joker has come back, like his worst villain of all time, and is taking things to places that maybe he never did before, and is Batman basically having to confront the past.
Mm-hmm.
The third issue is the villain is effectively Superman, and Superman being
the dick that he is.
I think in this case, yeah, it's basically Superman now being sort of like the paragon of virtue that has been now completely subverted by political power and by political and corporate interests.
Mm-hmm.
And Batman with no no hope of returning to the past life that he once had, and is effectively, like, he's now like a being of pure principle. So I think that probably comes into where he is now. We don't use guns. We don't kill people. And that we kind of see in the first few pages of issue 1, while he's running from the police. We see him picking up a gun, firing it at some police officers, basically trying to ward them off, you would assume, and kind of revealing that he's a very clumsy shot.
Yeah.
Both he's an old man, he's having heart problems, he has adrenaline running through his veins, like he's a very bad shot. He and Robin escape. There are now a lot of Sons of the Bat going around. They are now trying to beat up the former mutant gang. And then let me see here. Ronald Reagan appears again.
And just looks more ridiculous as you go through. Like
he's now wearing a radiation suit.
Yeah. By the way, guys, nuclear missiles are coming.
Well, folks, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news.
Good news is I'm gonna be okay. Bad news is you're all fucked.
Yep. So Superman goes to deal with a nuclear warhead being fired at the U.S. He goes, he does like drag it, I believe, into the desert, where it explodes. It severely wounds him, and it appears to send out a shockwave which shuts down the electricity in, at the very least, Gotham, if not everywhere else. Batman and Robin show up at the prison where a lot of the former mutant gang are being held, and start. I think they start breaking people out.
Yeah,
with the idea that they need backup because they know they're going to go after Superman, and they need people to be on their side. They need an army, and so Batman and Robin start riding horses in through Gotham because all the cars are out of service and all the electricity's down.
They're basically going and just being at this point, because they're they can be, that's a way to look at it, that they're gathering people to what is it? They're just gathering people to go against Superman. But the way I kind of came across when I was reading this kind of comes across as he did like his whole Batman thing was like, I'm gonna end the Joker once and for all kind of a thing. I'm gonna try and fix this stuff. And now with the power out and stuff because of the nuclear blast and stuff, he's legitimately being like the superhero he's supposed to be. So he's grabbing Robin, getting people together to like, hey, to actually be a superhero, and then that dick comes and ruins it.
Yeah, so basically our infrastructure is down. There are looters in the streets. Nobody is social distancing like they should be, and
Superman's trying to spirit bomb shit, trying to get, I need your power from nature, pulling off a Dragon Ball Z ripoff. Hate to see it in comics, but I don't know if this came out before Dragon Ball Z or not, but he's trying to gather the power of nature, like your son, give me, Mother Earth and all sorts of hippie shit. And, Superman, the fucking pit bull of the U.S. government is resorting to hippie tactics to, bring himself back to power, which says a lot about Reaganomics and, He looks pretty grisly, though. You're, like, watching him try to, like, get powered up. He just, like, I remember, like, reading this as a kid and just, like, seeing Superman the first time when he got hit by the bomb, how, like, basically skeleton he looks, because he's just fucked. Like, he's straight just, Superman is just fucked.
Yeah, but then the yellow glow of Earth's sun restores him.
Because why not? And then this is kind of what I was referencing to earlier, which is kind of all the, as the riots are going on and Batman's trying to fix shit and the gangs are kind of doing their thing, you have all the commentary from, just random citizens. And there's this one snooty citizen that's just been in there a couple times just with his awesome hot takes of what's going on, which are just terrible.
Yeah, and obviously with infrastructure in disarray, nobody being able to all the lights being out, all the heat being off, people freezing. Obviously, Ronald Reagan's next plan is, well, we're going to have our superhero bring in the Batman.
Yeah.
Priorities, yeah. So Ronald Reagan wearing an American flag and
that's what it is. So basically, that's right. So I remember this now. So basically, what Reagan's doing at this point is Batman, because the whole point of Reagan and talking to Superman is Batman's, I'm out for blood. Oh, Batman needs to be reined in and stuff. At this point, Batman has effectively done what the government hasn't done. It's kind of interesting, with what's going on today, kind of then, because Batman is like basically doing, because like this whole time the people are needing help, they need order restored, and that's what Batman's doing. He's basically spitting in the government's face, being like, well, I'm gonna fucking do my thing and help these people. And so basically old Reagan gets all pissed off and jealous because he's basically being shown up by Batman. That's why that entire altercation between him and Superman is because old Ronald Reagan's all butthurt about, Batman doing what they're not doing. Well, absolutely not, because they're not. The government's not helping them. They're not doing anything. They're basically being like, Superman, go kick the shit out of Batman.
And it's at this point we cut back to Batman, who is chatting with a character we have not seen so far in this narrative, a much, much older and a much, much surlier Green Arrow, Oliver Queen.
Hell yeah.
He is, he is pissed off, old, rugged, and he apparently at some point had his arm either ripped off or, I don't know, maybe eye lasered off by Superman so that he can't really fire arrows anymore. Probably taken down as part of the superhero purges that you mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting too, because there was actually a Green Arrow storyline where he died for a period of time, and he was stuck in an experimental aircraft that was about to explode. And Superman came to save him and realized like he couldn't like tear apart the airplane. I think it was made from something which Kryptonian powers weren't strong against. But it's like, okay, but your arm's stuck in there. I mean, I could remove your arm. And he was like, no, I'm gonna die when this thing explodes. I need the arm.
I need the arm. No, you don't need the arm. Hold on. Wait, what? No. God damn, I'm an archer. I need two. Which Oliver Queen just does fantastic with just one arm. So
yeah.
One arm, Oliver could kick the shit out of Hawkeye. So
yeah. Then they start introducing an interesting new costume change for Batman. So he had the yellow oval to begin with, and then he had the plain black bat symbol on his chest for the second and third issues. Now this one they introduced the mecha armor.
Yeah.
This gigantic like metal tin can suit. It's effectively like Bat Iron Man. Where it's what he needs to use in order to fight Superman. They pulled this into it was Batman v Superman the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had a version of this there. They've used a version of this in the Court of Owls storyline in the comic books because, like, I'm being attacked by like samurai zombies. What am I going to do? Oh, okay, I'm going to use that giant metal suit I had created. So they used that in the Court of Owls storyline as well. So Superman goes to attack Batman in his big ass tank. He throws it up, he tears it apart, and reveals Carrie Kelly inside instead. Does not realize that Batman is elsewhere. He goes to confront Batman, who has his big metal suit attached to apparently the only electricity that still works in the city, which is a street light. I think they're pretty am I misreading this, or are they just really inconsistent with like what power sources are still available? Because like cars are out, but like heating is out, but a street light is on.
They're pretty inconsistent with that because at this point, that blast from the thing. I mean, there's nothing that should still be on. So I think that's just kind of an inconsistent thing.
Yeah. So they have a big fight. Superman being pretty weak from being nuked earlier. Batman being weak just because he's an old man, an old man who is very human, although he still has this super suit. Superman starts tearing pieces of it off of him, beating him up. And then Oliver Queen comes to the rescue, shooting a kryptonite arrow right at Superman. Superman being, second fastest man alive behind the Flash, grabs the arrow, but thankfully they had installed some sort of explosive on it, which basically showers Superman with kryptonite and allows Batman to beat the living crap out of him.
Really does just kick the shit out of him.
Meanwhile, Alfred has been tending to his part of this by just blowing up Wayne Manor and then dying.
Yeah, like Alfred is like, I guess I'll die now.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I've lived these 17,000 years on this earth. It's time for me to go.
Claim me, brothers. What we don't see, is this scene that was deleted from the comic is the thousands of Alfreds, before him, after him, trying to claim the Alfred throne, reaching up and dragging him into the earth and consuming his body, his memories. And of course, there'll be another Alfred because that's how this works, man.
Yeah, once every few years, the portal to the Alfred verse opens, one emerges.
Just someone needs to make a fucking comic of that, man. The Alfred verse. Just a quick 4-issue run, just opens up a portal and just one Alfred just all beat up and bloody. It's almost on par with Lobo killing his entire home world just because he can. He was like, fuck him, just the Alfred is just the Lobo of Alfreds.
So while this is happening, Batman starts beating the crap out of Superman, who is severely weakened by kryptonite, but unfortunately our old friend Mr. Heart Attack comes back. And he starts having a cardiac episode right in the middle of the fight, eventually collapsing on the ground and leaving a bruised and bloody Superman to just kind of deal with his body. Some days later, they have a funeral for Batman. Unfortunately, Commissioner Gordon has to hold back Selina Kyle from trying to kick Superman's ass, which I think would be probably the most one-sided fight that ever happened.
Selina Kyle just gets smacked halfway across the world just in one fell swoop.
Like, this is like Sun God Superman. This is like, you pissed me off, I just throw you into the sun, Superman.
I know, right? Well, like, the thing is, I think the Superman, just kind of reading throughout when he's introduced up until this ending bit, I feel like he's a little inconsistent as far as where his loyalties actually lie, because he's, again, we kind of discussed, there was some sort of superhero thing, and so he's appeasing the government by doing that. But at the same time, I mean, I guess he pulled his punches with Batman during that fight, because, I mean, in reality, Batman's smart as shit, a great fighter and stuff. Superman, basically a god. That's not even a fight. That's just, it's just ridiculous. But it's kind of just he seems like he flip flops a lot in this.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, I gotta punish you and shit. I gotta listen to old Reagan, and then just kind of like, I don't know. It's again, like I said, I'm not a big fan of old Superman, so it's a bit.
In some of the sequels to this, they kind of get into the fact that it's basically like an indentured servitude to the government that he has, because they have his daughter under locked as a hostage.
Fucking Superman, like, cool, that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna kill all of you and get my daughter. Fuck you guys. I'm an alien. I will blow this fucking earth up.
But there's so after that, Superman realizes that deep within the coffin, Batman's heart is actually beating. He gives a little wink to Carrie, and our last page is Superman with Carrie Kelly and some of the sons of the Batman planning something with a map.
Yeah. Well,
And that's The Dark Knight Returns. It's kind of one of the first pushes of what was either a children's character or later on under the Dennis O'Neil and under the Dennis O'Neil run as maybe like teen or preteen adventurer character into like a more mature storyline, trying to dealing with things like impending mortality and politics and things things that characters like that aren't really designed to talk about. So it's interesting to see takes like this where they quite literally start putting these more innocent characters into more darker and more dangerous situations. So I think there's parts of it that don't hold up very well. Bruno, especially, Selena, especially, the mustache being removed within the first issue, especially.
That was like the biggest travesty, man. We got no closure. We got no why. We got nothing. We just gotta
We've had like 4 or 5 sequels to this and no return. Like it's the one DC character that's never come back from the dead is Batman's mustache.
I'm just upset. Just upset by it. It's just I feel robbed.
So yeah, we managed to get through this entire 4-issue series within an hour and a half. Within an hour and a half. We've had no mentions of Stuart Townsend so far. I'm chalking that up to win.
It's fucking Stuart fucking Townsend. Fuck that dude. No Stuart Townsend rants. Nothing.
A weird email, and he's gonna want to be on like an episode.
He's going to. He's like, what? Somebody mentioned my name. His agent's probably watching this. Oh shit! These guys mentioned your name. You're somewhat relevant. Let's see if they'll get it. They'll contact us. Like they'll bring me on their little podcast because I used to be famous, and I'm not laughing. Fuck you, Stuart Townsend. Or just bring him on. Just be like, hey, dude, fuck you, and just boot him.
So. Okay, so I didn't ask you this last time, but I'll ask you this. I'll ask you for last episode, and I'll ask you for this one. Would you consider? Well, we'll start with DKR first. Would you consider Dark Knight Returns to be worthy of its status as a legendary comic?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You got everything in there. The Dark Knight Returns saga. I mean, I have the deluxe edition. I actually haven't read The Dark Knight Strikes Back yet, which I'm kind of want to get into because it looks like it continues the story. But just those 4 issues, you got everything in there. You got heartbreak, the mustache disappearing. You got, kind of almost a cyberpunk theme, like without it being, overt cyberpunk. Yeah, like without being like computers and shit. You got just Batman, it's kind of like the theme, like with this one, like with the Killing Joke. Like the Killing Joke was just Batman, like I have to, and just Batman struggling with the Joker being like, this is only going to end one way. It was more of like just settling that final feud, which this one, it's mostly him battling his mortality, and battling not only his mortality, his ego in a way. And also trying to come to terms with, trying to be, again, that superhero that Gotham needs in this time, trying, he couldn't sit back any longer. He was just fucking, wow, everything's going to shit. Mutants are raping, killing. Like, there's a lot of terrible things were happening that the comic kind of like very nonchalantly, which is like, oh yeah, there was a family. There's a reference to the family was just fucking massacred, pretty early on. You think about rapes and like just murders and stuff. James Gordon, especially throughout the comics, just like very pessimistic of just like 50 years of working on the force. Like a reference like this, like a Stoop, like, I've seen, at least 72 fucking bodies in Stoops like this, basically, just you have a lot of stuff going like behind the scenes, kind of outside the main storyline. There's a lot of stuff there that you can read this comic multiple times and pick up on like new things that you'll kind of notice. Oh shit, kind of give more idea of the story. Yeah. I think it definitely, whereas this one, Batman deals with the mortality and his ego and stuff like that, Killing Joke dealing with Batman and Joker, that final, like, this has to end, you know, it's only going to end one way. You know, I think this definitely does. It definitely earns its place as a, you know, if any Batman fan should absolutely read The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, it's still one of my favorite arcs of Batman.
Would you say the same about The Killing Joke?
Yeah, The Killing Joke. Yeah, The Killing Joke is up there. I think I like The Dark Knight Rises a lot more than The Killing Joke. The Dark Knight Rises kind of covers a lot. There's a lot of action, whereas The Killing Joke's more like, I don't know if saying psychological is a good way to put it, where it's kind of more exploring, you know, the duality between Batman and Joker and kind of him coming to terms, trying to, like, you know, like the whole meeting with the Joker being basically like, you know, like, we got to find a way around this, and basically, no, this is fate. This is what's going to happen, no matter what. The end result is one of us is going to die. So I think they're both pretty important, and even if they're one-offs, well, I mean, The Dark Knight Rises obviously wasn't a runoff. There's, like, he continued it later on,
yeah,
I guess. But with The Killing Joke being the one-off, I think they're pretty much essential Batman stories that you should read, you know, from two very good writers with very different perspectives on Batman. They both wrote dark Batmans, but they're vastly different from each other. So,
yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some stuff in Dark Knight Returns that doesn't hold up very well, and part of the reason for that is that the Dark Knight Returns has been ripped off by so many other comics.
It
Like,
has.
it's one of those things like Mouse holds up because nobody, like, nothing else like Mouse has ever been written. Like, Watchmen holds up because, like, nothing like Watchmen. Like, the only time that I've ever seen something else like Watchmen is when Alan Moore has done it himself. Like, I feel like everything else kind of, you know, is sort of like on the ground staring up at a mountain when you talk about, like, Watchmen, and you consider, like, everything that went into that comic. But Dark Knight Returns, because it's a revolutionary comic, but it was done in a way that's so, like, aggressively simple. Like, it's not, it doesn't have any pretenses of it being like a very, like, oh, this is a very smart work of art. It's a very, like,
It's very
well written, mature piece of work, but it doesn't have any, like, it's been on the New York bestseller lists. It was not written in order to, like, attract the New York bestseller list.
No, not at all.
And I think that's made it approachable. Unfortunately, a little too much for people ripping it off, because it feels like when you consider something like, you know, even The Killing Joke, or, like, especially Watchmen.
Joke has its own. It just has its own theme that it's just. Yeah, I don't think anyone's quite ripped off the Killing Joke to the extent of they have with The Dark Knight Returns. Like, The Killing Joke has its own. There's no way you could continue the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
There's just no way. Like, if you continued it, the mystery at the end, I mean, obviously it seems like he kills the Joker, you know, and there's no way. That's the beauty of The Killing Joke. It's more, I feel like The Killing Joke is more smartly written in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas Batman, the Dark Knight Returns, like you said, it's more simple. I think it's a little more crudely done, at least art wise. I mean, I love the art for it, but it just seems like it's a little more crudely done just to give that more grittier look on it. But, like, the Dark Knight Rises can keep, or the Dark Knight Returns can keep, like, obviously it keeps continuing because there's a whole, the Dark Knight Strikes Back or something. Whole thing, which I don't know anything about that, so I'm gonna read it, and I don't know if it's good or not. It might be.
Yeah, I didn't like the second one, and I haven't read the following. I haven't read the follow-ups after that, like the Dark Knight. I think there's one called The Master Race, which I think is probably getting into Bruno's background.
I was about to say that sounds a lot like sounds a lot like with the whole Bruno thing's gonna come in.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, so maybe I'm completely off base there, but we'll see. Well, I'm sure we'll probably end up doing them at some point.
Yeah.
But I think next week I'd really like to. Yeah, I'd like to do Superman, specifically All-Star Superman, because I think that's kind of your perfect Superman comic book. I think maybe after that we can do some more indie stuff. Or
yeah, I was about to say it'd be, you know, we've done Batman twice now. We'll do the Superman because I am interested to seeing, you know, kind of reading that just to see how that changes my perception of Superman, and it'll be interesting to kind of, you know, get both input on it from someone who really doesn't like Superman as much, you know, to kind of see how and if that does change kind of my view on him. And then after that, we can, I don't know, we can find something that's more indie-ish, more fun to do, and it could be whatever we can do.
yeah, maybe we can do like a. I mean, this is called Welcome to Frankenstein House. Maybe we should be doing some horror stuff somewhere down the line. So
Speaking of that, I did went ahead and grabbed those things we were talking about. So we'll should have a cool intro video
cool, thank you.
soon. So no problem. Like I'm really interested in seeing that going. So eventually things will look a little more polished, a little more, you know, we'll have like this intro video we're going to work on, which I think is great. I've been like looking at it all day, like fucking around. I'm going to fuck around with it. I think it's going to be cool. You know, maybe a website or something. I don't know. This something cool. It'd be cool to kind of like touch up on not only indie comics, but we can even, you know, talk about, you know, if there's like, we can even talk about like keepsakes sometime, or we can talk
cool. Yeah, it might be interesting.
comics, you know, to kind of, you know,
Writer's commentary on it.
yeah, just kind of like a, you know, like a, just kind of like friends, you know, of comics, you know, kind of like, oh, we'll read this and see what we think. We've also talked before about doing like bringing like guests and stuff. Like we talked about going through like Conan. Like Tommy's really interested in like if we want to do like Conan or even some of the Jack Kirby stuff because he's super into that era. Pretty much anything comic wise, but like we could touch on like maybe like Conan, have like maybe have him like pick like what arc or what issues do you want us to look at, and we'll go through and read it, and then just spend 2 hours bashing on Conan just to fuck with him now.
Did you end up, do you have the Comixology Unlimited?
Yeah, I think so.
So I think for the future, I'm gonna try to go with stuff that's going to be like readily available on Comixology Unlimited, because I understand people have some limited budgets right now, so maybe it's a good idea once we get past these first like 2 or 3 issues, maybe we should start going on things that like, hey, if you have Comixology Unlimited, this is free for you, because there's some pretty good stuff up there for free or for $4.99.
I'm pretty sure I have unlimited, which is great because I went through and bought like that. I bought hold on, where is it at? But there's another Dark Knight one that I accidentally bought that I guess is it's a whole different maybe it was the Dark Knight what was it called? The Dark Knight Returns: The Last Crusade or some shit.
Oh, that's one of the later ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that because I was looking at that. I was like a deluxe. Oh, that must be it all. But yeah, no, it's a later issue with about the whole Last Crusade or whatever this whole story arc is. So, I mean, there's some really cool shit on Comixology. So I'm definitely down for, you know, doing these up. And like I said, it doesn't like most of these comics are like, especially with unlimited, you get them for like, you know, like $5 to $10 or so. It's not too big of a deal to grab one or another, but we can definitely go ahead and look at some of the free ones on there too.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff. I mean, there's some old EC comics up there. There's like big collections of them. There's Fatale, which is
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. Yeah, we should.
Dude, like I've looked at Terminator omnibuses on here. Ooh, Batman Hush. What?
We should do Fatale at some point. Maybe that could be our first like horror one, because that's a mixture of, so that's crime noir horror. So
Fatale.
Yeah, Fatale.
Let me see that. That could be pretty cool. But yeah, we can do more like do some horror stuff. I mean, there was a cool something I'd like to do is because there was a I'm a big John Carpenter fan, huge John Carpenter fan actually, and there was a good run of Thing comics. Now there's like three sets of issues of them. Like
they were the ones they had to, for legal reasons, call it The Thing from Another World, right?
Yeah, McCready's in it. So like there's like the first couple, like there's a first run was fucking amazing. It kind of picks up right at the end of the first thing. It explains what happens to child and stuff like that. And then there's another run that was pretty okay. It wasn't too bad. And then there's another run that's absolute dog shit. So I'm gonna see if it's on there. But like the thing I really want, I need to go buy them anyway because I really like those comics anyway, and being a huge Thing fan, that would be great. Let me see if they're actually on here. If they are, that'd be awesome because those were. I don't think so. I don't think they're on here. We'd have to. But there's a free comic site that I read it on a while back. They're kind of a pain to find too. They're definitely kind of a collector's thing.
Yeah.
At least the first few issues. I think there was like 1 to 2, maybe. Let me look it up here because let me see the Thing from Another World. Comic. Let me see here real quick. Yeah. Like so that the artwork on it is fucking phenomenal. Like everything. Like here, let me send this to you. But there was like the first few. It was called The Thing from Another World. The Thing, Climate of Fear was a decent one, and then Eternal Vows was really different. And then I guess there's another one called Questionable Research, but I don't think I read. It kind of acts as a standalone one, so I'd have to check that out. But the first couple, like The Thing from Another World, and then was it Climate of Fear? Those two were pretty decent. The first one especially, it was like, was it 2 issues? Yeah, it was 2 issues from the very first one, which sucks. There's only 2 issues, but it's a great 2 issues. And then Climate of Fear kind of went on a little bit longer. If I remember right, there was like 4 issues on that. And then the Eternal Vows, just absolute dog shit. They kind of drag the McCready character through the mud a little bit. It gets more ridiculous. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's absolute dog shit. It's just the theme from the very first set is great, and the second one's like because he's like in some like I don't think he's in Vietnam, but he's in like some jungle where the Thing's at for Climate of Fear. Then all of a sudden he's in this like for the Eternal Vows of the Port Town. And it's about the Thing. The whole mythos of the Thing kind of evolves a lot to where they're all connected. And they all can communicate with each other, and people just get infected really weirdly. Kind of a I got to read Eternal Vows. Eternal Vows, I remember reading through and just kind of like, fuck. Like, it's not hard to read through, but it's way more campy. The artwork's not the best, but it's kind of worth going through, I guess, for giggles.
I've read those. I've read the so he has a bunch of like comics anthologies that he co-writes with his wife Sandy King.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple of those. I actually bought them from her because she was at Emerald City Comic Con a couple years ago. So I have some of those, but I've never actually read the Thing comics. So I'm curious about those. Anyway, I think we can probably wrap this up if you.
Yeah, we probably could. I'm gonna work on probably tomorrow because I got all the files and stuff. We can work if you are free tomorrow. Got a little bit of time. I want to work with you a little bit on that.
Yeah, I can stick up tomorrow.
Real quick, yeah. Just shouldn't be too much. I'm gonna boot up After Effects and see what I can do with it. It's gonna be cool as shit. Like everything about it. Like it's perfect for this. So hopefully we'll have that up and going so you guys can see a really cool intro video, and then we should have a website maybe at some point just with information. I don't know what else we'd put on that. I don't know.
Yeah. So that'll be good. I think, we can do that. You want to do this? You want to come back and do another live stream next week, same time, or do you?
Yeah, we can do whatever, man. Like obviously, we're not going anywhere for a while. We can do. It might be kind of cool to do like main like big issue stuff, like maybe like every Saturday. And if you want to do something during the week, just like I don't know, like we can do more indie stuff. I don't know. However you want to play, we can come up with kind of a cool format to where we're kind of doing stuff and doing more longer stuff on like Saturday night, and then maybe like we could even do something like like a weeknight, or maybe Saturday night, bring like a guest or something. I want to talk about comics or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
for you usually will work for me for the most part. Like I said,
I don't think I'd like to get some other folks on some of these streams. So I mean, if there's anybody out there watching this who have some opinions about the topic of the day, you know, you can add us on Facebook. Just look for Welcome to Frankenstein House, and if there's a topic that you consider yourself to be an expert on, we're happy to have guests on the stream. If you're an asshole, we'll kick you. And
yeah, it's pretty easy to do, really. We just eat you from here real fucking quick. But
yep.
But yeah, you know, typically just kind of like hit us up on there, let us know kind of what you're thinking of, preferably just a series of issues we can read rather quickly. I don't want to go through an entire omnibus or something. I'm just like, okay, I want to do this, but we need to read like 5 volumes of fucking Sandman, and
yeah, that was one of the things.
Cool. Now we need to do this. I mean, we could probably do some like a big thing with like bigger stuff like that. Maybe like once every few months where we're like, okay, we're gonna like really dig through something, but something that's a few issues or so.
Yeah.
Be all right.
Yeah, that's yeah, we'll do that. If anybody out there likes horror comics, I have my book Keepsakes up on Comixology right now. It just went up this week. It'll be up on some other indie marketplaces going forward. We'll have I know that Sierra Nova Comics operates an indie site that they're an indie comics site that they're going to be selling Keepsakes on. I have another one that I can't mention yet that I'm really excited about, but I think if anybody knows me and anybody is into the same stuff that I'm into, you'll like shit your pants when you hear it. So that'll be exciting. But
to hear more about this when you get it done.
Yeah. When that goes up, I plan to tell everybody. This is gonna be like a big like brag thing for me. I'm really excited about.
Ooh, nice.
But yeah, so that'll be good.
Real quick,
go ahead.
I did see it's not a free comic. It's like $5 on there, but on Unlimited, I do see Sherlock Frankenstein. Never, but the cover looks wild. Hold on, let me send this to you. But it looks wild. That might be like it could be pretty fun to do shit like that, like these weird issues, like grabbing one maybe throughout the week or something, you know, just kind of like grab something like that from the free, you know, or we can even have it eventually. We can set stuff up because we could probably set this up to stream to like Twitch and shit. We can set up a Twitch and we can have it to where we can have maybe get enough viewers and stuff they can like vote on like, oh, you guys should do this one, and whatever gets the most, we'll like pick an issue and just go through it, as long as it's not anything like I don't know what our criteria would be.
Yeah, I'm kind of up for checking anything out. I love comics. I love if something sucks, we're going to talk about that. But
oh yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it at great length, probably more so than stuff we really like, because we really enjoy shitting on things.
Including the movie work of Stuart Townsend.
Especially. You know what other website we should just have? We are the #1 place that actively hates on the movie work, the entire filmography of Stuart Townsend. And Stuart Townsend, if you are reading this, you have crimes against humanity you need to answer for.
Before we go ahead and do you want to plug Avery's tattoo shop again?
Oh yeah, so Avery Woolman of Undead Inc., located in Spokane Valley. Obviously not open right now, but they are accepting deposits and stuff for any of their artists. You know, that will be good for it. I think they're even running a special too. Let me see that real quick. I just saw him post something recently. They're doing like, I think it's like a $400 special that gets you quite a lot of tattoo time from, again, amazing artists. Like Avery's done probably the majority of my own ink on me. I'm basically covered in all of his artwork. Fantastic person to work with. Everyone in his shop is phenomenal. Again, you can find them just Facebook Undead Inc. Studios. Check them out. Great people. He's a bit of a comic nerd too. We can probably convince him to come online. I think he has his own podcast too, where they play D&D and other nerd shit. So,
Cool.
so yeah, they do. I think they stream some of their campaigns, which seem to be pretty cool. I need to go through and spend a day and watch some of them, but no, he does some cool shit. So I mean, good friend of mine, great artist. I think he does a lot of his own artwork as well, which is phenomenal. Like he's one of my favorite artists. So check him out. Facebook, it's awesome. Those located in Spokane, hit him up, give him some deposits, book him. He doesn't book as often anymore, but I know he just opened. I think he just opened up his books for to get some more artists, get some more people to come in if they'd like to. So, which is pretty big. It's kind of hard to get into to see him. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. All right. If you have anything else to plug, we can.
No, I think we're good. We'll work on this thing tomorrow. Just hit me up whenever you got some time. I'm gonna fuck with it and have something cool, hopefully for the next stream. So.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody who tuned in for this. Everybody who's gonna go back and watch this on YouTube probably tomorrow after the hangover wears off. I hope you have all of a great day. And once again, # release the Howard cut.
Release the Howard cut now.
Later, folks.
Later. Yeah.